Chapter 10:19. At the thought of this, Yi Chen's eyes lit up. Damn it, this black stone was most likely not a divine-level material, but a Khanate-level material. It might even be a top-grade Khanate-level material. Yi Chen could not be blamed for thinking this way. After all, no matter how heavy an ordinary material was, it was impossible for a rock to be heavier than a mountain. This was the case even for immortal or divine-level materials. But in the end, the black stone in this underground space, 3,000 meters under the Changbai mountain, was obviously out of this norm. Such an existence was definitely something that surpassed the divine-level material, which was a Khanate-level material. Such an existence could turn into a Khanate spiritual treasure after a long period of time. It could also be used to refine weapons into an acquired spiritual treasure. It could be said that Khanate-level materials were very practical. Even in the Eldritch world, they were popular goods. Damn it, this must be the case. At the thought of this, Yi Chen moved and instantly came to the side of the black stone. After carefully observing it for a while, Yi Chen directly grabbed the black stone with his right hand. The moment Yi Chen's right hand touched the black stone, a scorching heat that could burn even a celestial immortal to death suddenly erupted from the black stone and attacked Yi Chen directly. Sensing this, Yi Chen's eyes suddenly narrowed. Damn it, I was sitting cross-legged on it before and was not attacked at that time. Why am I being attacked now? With a puzzled look, the lunar primordial fire that Yi Chen had just refined appeared instantly and attached to his right hand. At the same time, the scorching heat from the black stone instantly collided with Yi Chen's right hand that was attached to the lunar primordial fire. Then there was an earth-shattering roar. Boom! Then a violent airflow appeared. Then, with Yi Chen's right hand as the center, it spread wildly in the form of ripples. At this moment, Yi Chen's clothes directly made a crackling sound, and Yi Chen's long hair danced wildly in the wind. The violent airflow did not stop. In the blink of an eye, it filled the entire underground space and then blew the 3,000-meter thick rock wall above the underground space. At this moment, the earth trembled. Woo! An extremely sharp screeching sound rang out from the pit that Yi Chen had created with the Grand Sun primordial fire. Then, a white stream of air mixed with a large amount of crushed stones shot out from the pit and soared into the sky. The female players of Beauty's Alliance, who had just received the Khanate cultivation method and spirit-grade equipment set that Yi Chen had bestowed upon them, all paled when they saw this. Master is in danger! A female player from Beauty's Alliance shouted as she looked at Li Mengyao. Li Mengyao raised her hand to stop the rest of the Beauty's Alliance members. She then looked at the hole and bowed. Master, what should we do? Li Mengyao didn't know what caused the sudden change in the underground space, but she was sure of one thing. That was, as long as Yi Chen needed it, all the members of Beauty's Alliance had to help him without hesitation. Even if all the members of Beauty's Alliance would die because of this, or even die completely, they had to help. This was because Yi Chen had already agreed to accept Beauty's Alliance. Moreover, he had bestowed each member with a Khanate cultivation method and a spirit-grade equipment set. If Yi Chen needed Beauty's Alliance to help and they made all sorts of excuses, then Beauty's Alliance, which was already very low in Yi Chen's heart, would definitely plummet. Then, they would become an enemy that Yi Chen hated and even viewed as enemies. This was not an outcome that Li Mengyao or the other members of Beauty's Alliance wanted to see. It was for this reason that Li Mengyao hurriedly stopped her subordinates from continuing their exclamations. Then, she directly asked Yi Chen what Beauty's Alliance should do. This had nothing to do with purposely showing off or fake politeness, because what Li Mengyao said was what all the members of Beauty's Alliance were thinking. They were willing to work for Yi Chen, and they were willing to give up everything for Yi Chen. As soon as Li Mengyao's words fell, the members of Beauty's Alliance all revealed inexplicable resolute expressions. Then, they uniformly looked toward the crater. 3,000 meters under Mount Changbai, Yi Chen, who had just blocked the Black Boulder's attack, glanced at the female players of Beauty's Alliance on the ground. Stay away. As soon as Yi Chen's voice fell, the female players of Beauty's Alliance all froze. Then, they bit their lips and bowed toward the crater. Yes, Master. They bit their lips because Yi Chen's words had provoked them. That was true, but Yi Chen's provocation did not make them hate him. To be more precise, they hated themselves. Previously, when Yi Chen agreed to take them in, they were wild with joy. Then, when Yi Chen rewarded them with innate skill manuals and spirit-grade equipment sets, they were overjoyed. But now, from the ecstasy of being able to follow Yi Chen and receive rewards from Yi Chen, they woke up and faced the reality that they did not want to admit, but had to face. They were too weak, so weak that they could not help Yi Chen at all. They could only watch from afar, unable to do anything. The fact that they were willing to help but couldn't even die for it, made them feel extremely aggrieved and depressed. They did have resentment in their hearts, but not toward Yi Chen, but toward themselves. They hated their powerlessness, hated their weakness. From the expressions of the female players of Beauty's Alliance and their actions just now, it was clear that Yi Chen was in their hearts. After a brief pause, he sighed inwardly. These women, King Hell, they're really determined to follow me. This is, well, at least I'll be more at ease in the future. Thinking of this, Yi Chen looked directly at the huge black rock that had stopped after launching an attack. Then, he said coldly, "That's right." He said coldly, "Do you want to be destroyed, or do you want to follow me and recreate the glory of your innate spirit treasure?" As soon as Yi Chen finished speaking, the black boulder suddenly emitted a deafening hum. In the next second, a cracking sound came from the black boulder. Kacha, in the blink of an eye, tens of thousands of tiny cracks appeared on the surface of the black boulder. Boom! The surface of the black boulder suddenly exploded. Then, a pitch-black lotus with 12 lotus leaves was revealed. The moment it appeared, a black and white Taiji diagram suddenly appeared in the air above Yi Chen's great Tao immortal platform in his purple mansion. At the same time, a scorching aura that could incinerate negative energy erupted from the Taiji diagram, then rushed out of Yi Chen's purple mansion and exploded in the underground space of Changbai Mountain. Chapter 1020. Just as Yi Chen's great Tao Immortal Foundation, the Tai Chi Red Lotus Immortal Foundation, suddenly unleashed its power, the negative energy in the entire Newbie area shook and swarmed towards the underground space at the foot of the Changbai Mountain. In the blink of an eye, all the negative energy in the Newbie area of the primitive desolate world quieted down. Yi Chen, who could not use his divine sense to scan the entire Newbie area but could detect the Great Han Empire, immediately detected the abnormality of the negative energy in all the filthy places within the Great Han Empire. At this moment, Yi Chen's eyes lit up as he looked at the black lotus flying out of the huge black rock that had been burned by the lunar primordial fire for tens of thousands of years. It could actively absorb all the negative energy in the world, and its main body was a black lotus. This black lotus was a freaking 12th grade black lotus of destruction. My previous judgment was right. Previously, when Yi Chen was attacked by the huge black rock, he had immediately assumed that the huge black rock was a fire elemental connate spiritual treasure. Yi Chen did not know exactly what it was, but Yi Chen was 100% sure of one thing. That was, the huge black rock itself was a connate spiritual treasure, or there was a connate spiritual treasure within the huge black rock. Otherwise, the huge black rock would definitely not have taken the initiative to attack Yi Chen. However, this judgment was quickly overturned by Yi Chen again. This was because the scorching aura that attacked Yi Chen contained a negative energy that was enough to destroy the soul of any being below the human immortal realm. Of course, what Yi Chen overturned was not the judgment that the huge black rock that had been burned by the lunar primordial fire for a long time was not a connate spiritual treasure, but the judgment that the huge black rock was a fire elemental connate spiritual treasure. This was because the attacks of fire elemental Khanate spiritual treasures were all pure fire elemental power and could not contain any negative energy. Not to mention, it was as deep as the sea and as heavy as a mountain. It could easily destroy anyone below the level of an immortal, including Yi Chen's soul. If not for the Red Lotus Hellfire, the Great Tao Immortal Foundation, and the Baroque Heaven and Earth Exquisite Pagoda protecting Yi Chen and incinerating the negative energy, Yi Chen's entire soul would have been destroyed by the sudden explosion of negative energy. Of course, this was just an assumption. The real situation was that Yi Chen was safe and sound. However, this was not important. What was important was that Yi Chen had immediately determined that the black boulder was a Khanate spiritual treasure that leaned towards the evil attribute. And in Yi Chen's memories, there were quite a number of Khanate numinous treasures that were inclined towards the evil attribute and could use negative energy. As for which one it was, Yi Chen was unsure. However, this judgment was overturned once again when the Black Lotus in the Black Boulder took the initiative to appear. Because of the appearance of the Black Lotus and its ability to actively absorb all negative energy between heaven and earth, there was only one explanation for the combination of the two, and that was that the Black Lotus was one of the three great Khanate treasure lotus thrones, the rank 12 Black Lotus of Doom. There were three great lotus thrones in the primeval world, each of which was a Khanate treasure. The first was the rank 12 Golden Lotus of Merit, which belonged to the Taoist guide. The second was the rank 12 Red Lotus of Hellfire, which was currently ownerless. However, according to the usual trajectory, the Nether River Patriarch should be the one to obtain the Red Lotus of Hellfire in the end. As for the third, it was the rank 12 Black Lotus of Doom. Its original owner was the demon ancestor Rahu, but its whereabouts were unknown following the fall of the demon ancestor. Of course, this was not important. What was important was that only the rank 12 Black Lotus of Doom had the ability to absorb all negative energy. Damn it, I thought that the huge black rock that had been burned by the lunar true fire for a long time was a primordial material. Later, I thought it was a primordial spiritual treasure. Who would have thought that it was actually a primordial black lotus of destruction, one of the three great lotus seats in the untainted land? Damn it, my fate with Luo Ho can't be unraveled. It was no wonder that Yi Chen thought so. After all, the first Khanate treasure that Yi Chen had obtained was the Godslayer, which was originally the weapon of the demon ancestor Ra. Now, the demon ancestor Ra's second Khanate treasure, the Black Lotus of Doom, had also appeared, and it was right in front of Yi Chen. How could Yi Chen not think so? It was not important if he could not undo it. Anyway, he had already offended him, and it did not matter if he continued to offend him. Thinking of this, Yi Chen looked straight at the rank 12 Black Lotus of Doom floating in the air, and then said, "I didn't expect you to be able to turn the extreme cold power of the lunar true fire into extreme heat. However, that blow just now also exhausted the power that you had accumulated for tens of thousands of years." Just as Yi Chen said this, the Black Lotus of Doom floating in the air trembled violently. Seeing the Black Lotus of Doom's movement, Yi Chen raised his eyebrows and waved his right hand. The black and thick Khanate treasure, the God-Slayer, appeared instantly. With a buzz, an extremely strong aura of destruction erupted the moment the God-Slayer appeared. The aura of destruction came from the God-Slayer, and it was released by the God-Slayer. At the same time, the Black Lotus of Doom floating in the air trembled again. At this moment, a strong sense of disbelief and puzzlement appeared directly from the rank 12 Black Lotus of Doom. In the next second, the God-Slayer that Yi Chen had just summoned flew up and faced the Black Lotus of Doom from a distance. Seeing this, Yi Chen was overjoyed. Damn it, the God-Slayer was indeed the first one that he had subdued. It knew what he was thinking. The God-Slayer voluntarily revealed the aura of a complete Khanate treasure to tell the Black Lotus of Doom that it was now complete and that its current master was Yi Chen, not Luo Ho. As for the God-Slayer, its purpose was naturally to persuade him. To be more precise, It was to persuade the Black Lotus of Doom to recognize Yi Chen as its master and fight side by side with it again. It had to succeed in persuading him. Otherwise, this damn rank 12 Black Lotus of Doom might not be successfully subdued. The rank 12 Black Lotus of Doom was different from ordinary Khanate treasure. This guy specialized in absorbing the negative energy between heaven and earth and was born with an aura of destruction. Of course, this was not important. The important thing was that Yi Chen's master was too conflicting with the attributes of the Black Lotus of Doom. As for the reason, it was very simple. Yi Chen's Great Tao Immortal Foundation, the Tai Chi Red Lotus Immortal Foundation, was born with the attribute of burning all negative energy. The karmic fire of the Red Lotus and Red Thunder of the karmic fire that Yi Chen had refined were specialized in suppressing negative energy. Furthermore, they used negative energy as fuel. If the Black Lotus of Doom were to recognize Yi Chen as its master, it would definitely stay in Yi Chen's purple mansion. The Red Lotus Hellfire and Red Thunder of Hellfire that annoyed the Black Lotus of Doom were nothing. They could hide anywhere in Yi Chen's body. The problem was that Yi Chen's Great Tao Immortal Foundation, the Tai Chi Red Lotus Immortal Foundation, could only stay in the purple mansion. In this way, the rank 12 Black Lotus of Doom that had recognized Yi Chen as its master had to stay with the Great Tao Immortal Foundation and the Tai Chi Red Lotus Immortal Foundation day and night. In this way, the Black Lotus of Doom would not be able to absorb a trace of negative energy. This could be easily seen from the fact that when the Black Lotus of Doom had appeared, the negative energy between heaven and earth had gone berserk, but was suppressed in the blink of an eye. Under such circumstances, it would be strange if the rank 12 Black Lotus of Doom could stay comfortably in Yi Chen's purple mansion. In fact, Yi Chen had been sneak attacked by the Black Lotus of Doom because Yi Chen had refined the lunar primordial fire and taken away the Millennium Black Ice Pillar. Not only had he not stopped, but he had also wanted to take the Black Boulder. If Yi Chen had taken the Black Boulder, the rank 12 Black Lotus of Doom would have been taken away as well. This was not what the rank 12 Black Lotus of Doom wanted to see. Therefore, the moment Yi Chen's right hand touched the Black Boulder, it had launched a sneak attack. Its purpose was to kill Yi Chen, the insatiable pervert. Unfortunately, the result was beyond the Black Lotus of Doom's expectations. Yi Chen was safe and sound. The Black Lotus of Doom could not accept this. After all, it had launched a sneak attack, and it had released all the negative energy it had accumulated over tens of thousands of years. Even if Yi Chen had the ability to burn the negative energy, it was impossible for him to burn all the negative energy in the blink of an eye. But the result was the complete opposite of what the Black Lotus of Doom had thought. In fact, the Black Lotus of Doom had been hiding in the novice area to wait for the resurrection of demon ancestor Luoho, or to wait for a master that it recognized. It did not want to have any conflict with Yi Chen. But Yi Chen, this pervert, even wanted to take away a black boulder that did not reveal any aura. How could the Black Lotus of Doom, which was hidden in the black boulder, not be annoyed? Time passed little by little. The negotiation between the Godslayer and the Black Lotus of Doom continued, and Yi Chen's mood became worse and worse. Son of a bitch, I'm being unreasonable thinking of this. A violent, murderous intent erupted from Yi Chen's body in an instant. In the next second, Yi Chen looked straight at the Black Lotus of Doom, and then shouted coldly, "If you have a master, you can become my master. Otherwise, you will never be able to wait until Luo Ho is resurrected, because I will try my best to seal you and then destroy you. Don't test my patience, and don't think that no one can destroy you just because you are a Khanate cardinal treasure." Chapter 10:21. As soon as Yi Chen's words fell, the grade 12 Black Lotus of Destruction suspended in midair suddenly shook. At the same time, a slightly panicked emotion suddenly emerged from the grade 12 Black Lotus of Destruction and then exploded in the underground space of Changbai Mountain. Noticing this, Yi Chen's eyes abruptly opened wide. Then, he explosively shouted, "Quickly recognize me as your master!" After Yi Chen finished speaking, he directly forced out a drop of essence blood, and then saw Yi Chen's essence blood fly straight to the Grade 12 Black Lotus of Destruction. The Grade 12 Black Lotus of Destruction was an innate treasure that combined both attack and defense, and was very difficult to destroy. Otherwise, when Demon Ancestor Luo Ho fell, the Grade 12 Black Lotus of Destruction would not have been damaged when the Godslayer, which was also an innate treasure, was shattered. It could be said that the Grade 12 Black Lotus of Destruction's defensive ability was extremely strong, and there were really not many existences that could hurt it. And this was also one of the reasons why the Grade 12 Black Lotus of Destruction had been pretentious and refused to recognize Yi Chen as its master. Because it firmly believed that if it did not cooperate, Yi Chen would need a very long time to refine it, because Yi Chen's realm was not enough. As for being destroyed by Yi Chen, that was even more nonsense. It did not think that Yi Chen could destroy it. Of course, this was not important. What was important was that it wanted to use the Godslayer to persuade Yi Chen to let it go. But the problem was that before it could persuade the Godslayer, Yi Chen gave it a final ultimatum. It could either recognize its master or be sealed, and then wait for Yi Chen to find a way to destroy it. It was unwilling to recognize its master, and it did not believe that it would be destroyed, but it was different if it was sealed. Because of this, it would be disastrous for the Grade 12 Black Lotus of Destruction that used all the energy accumulated over tens of thousands of years to attack Yi Chen. After all, Yi Chen was different from others. Yi Chen had an ability that could automatically burn all negative energy within a radius of 10,000 kilometers. Under such circumstances, as long as the Grade 12 Black Lotus of Destruction was sealed by Yi Chen, it would never be able to absorb the slightest bit of negative energy. This way, even if the Grade 12 Black Lotus of Annihilation was a connate cardinal treasure with heaven-defying attack and defense, it would be useless. It was precisely because of this that the Grade 12 Black Lotus of Annihilation showed signs of panic after Yi Chen's words. After all, the energy it had accumulated for tens of thousands of years had been completely released the moment it attacked Yi Chen. If Yi Chen was killed, it could still go somewhere else and continue to hide. It would not be detected by the mighty figures of the primordial world, especially Hong Jun. But the problem was that Yi Chen, a freak who was not even an immortal, had withstood a blow that could even kill a celestial immortal. And this led to the fact that the Grade 12 Black Lotus of Annihilation had no advantage in front of Yi Chen. It could escape, but no matter how fast it was, it could not escape from Yi Chen's hands, because the Godslayer, which was also a connate cardinal treasure, would not let it go. Otherwise, it would have escaped directly after its attack on Yi Chen failed, instead of staying in the underground space of Changbai Mountain like it was now. In fact, what the Grade 12 Black Lotus of Annihilation did not know was that its invincible defense was not unsolvable for Yi Chen. To be more precise, if Yi Chen wanted to destroy the Grade 12 Black Lotus of Annihilation, there was still a way. As for the specific method, it was to find the primordial fierce beast, the mosquito Taoist transformed from the blood-winged black mosquito, and then use one of the 10 great forbidden skills, the divine sense deprivation skill, to directly deprive the mosquito Taoist's innate divine sense and make it his own. After that, Yi Chen would directly use the mosquito Taoist's innate divine sense to swallow the Grade 12 Black Lotus of Annihilation. Just like in the legends, the mosquito Taoist sucked away the third grade of the Grade 12 Golden Lotus of Merit, completely dissolving the Black Lotus of Annihilation and then fusing it with his body. Of course, this was the only solution Yi Chen would choose if the Grade 12 Black Lotus of Annihilation was not obedient. Otherwise, Yi Chen would still prefer to subdue the Grade 12 Black Lotus of Annihilation. After all, with the improvement of his cultivation, Yi Chen's body would become stronger and stronger. In the end, Yi Chen's body would definitely surpass primordial spirit treasures and primordial ultimate treasures. Even if swallowing the grade 12 Black Lotus of Annihilation could greatly improve Yi Chen's body and cultivation, it could not make Yi Chen's body stronger when his cultivation reached the peak. It could be said that the benefits of swallowing the grade 12 Black Lotus of Annihilation were temporary. As Yi Chen's cultivation soared, this benefit would become weaker and weaker, and in the end it would be a waste. It was also for this reason that Yi Chen deliberately forced the grade 12 Black Lotus of Annihilation to accept him as its master. Otherwise, it would be a waste. Yi Chen still had Zhao Yu, Diaochan, Kai Yan, Huang Yueying, Mi Zhen and other women. Even if Yi Chen did not need the Black Lotus of Annihilation, Yi Chen's women would still need it. As soon as Yi Chen's words fell, the primordial ultimate treasure Godslayer suspended in mid-air shook violently. At the same time, a destructive aura erupted from the Godslayer in an instant and firmly locked onto the grade 12 Black Lotus of Annihilation. The grade 12 Black Lotus of Annihilation, which had just been dripped with Yi Chen's essence blood, finally began to actively absorb Yi Chen's essence blood after several tremors. Seeing this, Yi Chen's eyes suddenly lit up. Damn it, this bastard has finally submitted. Just as Yi Chen thought of this, the essence blood was actively absorbed by the grade 12 Black Lotus of Annihilation. Then, a bloody light suddenly erupted from the grade 12 Black Lotus of Annihilation. At this moment, a mysterious and inexplicable connection directly appeared between Yi Chen and the grade 12 Black Lotus of Annihilation. At the same time, the system's prompt sounded. Ding! Congratulations to player Yi Chen for successfully obtaining the primordial ultimate treasure, the grade 12 Black Lotus of Annihilation. Ding! Reminder to player Yi Chen, the primordial ultimate treasure Godslayer and the grade 12 Black Lotus of Annihilation originally belonged to demon ancestor Luo Ho. If player Yi Chen possesses these two primordial ultimate treasures at the same time, the mythical special storyline, Demon Ancestor Luo Ho's Resentment, will be automatically activated. At that time, Demon Ancestor Luo Ho will be resurrected 3,000 years in advance. Player Yi Chen, do you want to give up one of the two primordial ultimate treasures? As soon as the system's prompt ended, Yi Chen suddenly frowned. Damn it, previously, because of the mythical special storyline, Demon Ancestor Luo Ho's Revenge, Luo Ho could be resurrected 100% because of me, and the time limit was 10,000 years. Now, because of me, the mythical special storyline, Demon Ancestor Luo Ho's Resentment, has appeared. If I refuse, Demon Ancestor Luo Ho's Resentment will be automatically activated, and Demon Ancestor Luo Ho can be resurrected 3,000 years in advance. Damn it, I'm going against Demon Ancestor Luo Ho. It was no wonder that Yi Chen thought this way. After all, the system's prompt had clearly told Yi Chen this result. Chapter 1022. Yi Chen naturally did not think this way because he was afraid of Ra. If he was afraid, Yi Chen would have panicked when he activated the mythical special storyline mission, Revenge of Fiend Ancestor Ra. How could he still be so calm now? After all, the mythical special storyline mission, Revenge of Fiend Ancestor Ra, required Yi Chen to kill Fiend Ancestor Rahu, who had been resurrected because of Yi Chen, in a timely manner 10,000 years later. Otherwise, the power of Fiend Ancestor Rahu's resentment would be transformed into the power of Armageddon, and Yi Chen would permanently drop 5 realms due to the failure of the mission. Yi Chen's own attributes would be randomly stripped of 2. As for Yi Chen's providence, it would be directly reset to 0. If this were to happen to other players who knew of Fiend Ancestor Rahu's existence, they would either be scared silly or driven mad. They would then be in a constant state of panic. As for Yi Chen, he did not care about this at all. This was because Yi Chen was confident that within 10,000 years, he could prove his Tao with strength and then surpass Hongjun and the Heavenly Tao. No matter how powerful Fiend Ancestor Rahu was, could he be stronger than the heavenly Tao? It was impossible. Otherwise, how could Fiend Ancestor Rahu have fallen? Therefore, Yi Chen did not care about Fiend Ancestor Rahu, Tao Ancestor Hongjun, or the heavenly Tao. Even now, Yi Chen was about to automatically activate Fiend Ancestor Rahu's resentment. At most, it would be a headache. After all, as long as Fiend Ancestor Rahu's resentment was activated, Fiend Ancestor Rahu, who would have automatically resurrected after 10,000 years, would automatically resurrect 3,000 years earlier. If Yi Chen rose up at that time and had the strength to fight a saint, it would be nothing. However, if Yi Chen did not have the strength to fight a saint at that time and Fiend Ancestor Rahu was resurrected, then Yi Chen would definitely suffer a destructive attack. At best, he would be severely injured and his strength would be greatly damaged. At worst, his soul would be destroyed and he would lose everything. Unless Yi Chen could completely refine the connate cardinal treasure on him and his strength reached at least the level of a quasi-saint. Otherwise, there was a high chance that Yi Chen would be brutally abused by Rahu before losing everything. Even if Yi Chen was reborn and knew a lot of secrets and information, he could not change this result. Of course, this was only an assumption. And the premise of this assumption was that Yi Chen would not be able to obtain the strength to fight against a saint within 7,000 years. Damn it. So be it. With the Great Tao Immortal Foundation and the Taiji Red Lotus Immortal Foundation, I can comprehend the Great Tao much faster than the mighty figures of the Chaos World, including the three Pure Ones, Nuwa, the two Sages of the West, and Hongjun. This way, my cultivation speed will increase by 100 times. On top of that, the dynasty of Providence that was going to be established in the near future would be a great boost to his cultivation. It wouldn't be a big problem for him to become a saint in 7,000 years. Just as Yi Chen thought of this, the system notification sounded again. Ding. Player Yi Chen has 3 seconds to consider. After that, it will automatically be considered as not giving up. At that time, the mythical level special plot, Demon Ancestor Rahu's Resentment, will be automatically activated. As soon as the system notification ended, Yi Chen curled his lips in disdain. Damn it. So what if Demon Ancestor Rahu's Resentment is activated? You want to scare me and make me give up on the rank 12 Black Lotus of Destruction and the Connate Cardinal Godslayer? Dream on. Although Yi Chen thought a lot because of the system notification, he was not worried or afraid at all because of this. Demon Ancestor Rahu was awesome, but no matter how awesome he was, he would not stop attacking Yi Chen just because he gave up on either the Godslayer or the Black Lotus of Destruction. To be more precise, if Yi Chen was really worried or scared because of the system notification and gave up on the Godslayer or the rank 12 Black Lotus of Destruction, then Demon Ancestor Rahu's Resentment would disappear. There would still be Demon Ancestor Rahu's Revenge. Therefore, Yi Chen would still have to fight Demon Ancestor Rahu in the end. There was no possibility of reconciliation. Since that was the case, what was there to worry about? When Demon Ancestor Rahu really came back to life, he could just kill him directly. In fact, even if Yi Chen gave up on the Godslayer or the rank 12 Black Lotus of Destruction, which would make Demon Ancestor Rahu give up on being enemies with Yi Chen would not make such a choice. What a joke. If he made this choice just because of this, it would mean that he had no confidence, and a weak will. In that case, there was no need to talk about becoming a sage or becoming the strongest. He would just go to bed early, eat, and wait for death. Of course, this was just a hypothesis. The truth was that Yi Chen and Demon Ancestor Rahu only had a choice of life and death. There was no possibility of reconciliation. Thinking of this, Yi Chen made his choice without hesitation. No. After Yi Chen made his decision, the system notification sounded again. Ding. Player Yi Chen refuses to give up the Primordial Cardinal Treasure Godslayer and the rank 12 Black Lotus of Destruction. Demon Ancestors' Resentment has been officially activated. Ding! Demon Ancestor Rahu has been resurrected 3,000 years in advance because of Demon Ancestors' Resentment. Player Yi Chen, please prepare in advance. When the system notification ended, Yi Chen could not help but raise his eyebrows. Prepare, I've been preparing. When I ascend to untainted land, it will be time for me to explode. Thinking of this, a tyrannical and overbearing fighting spirit instantly rose from Yi Chen's body. Then, it exploded in the underground space. Yi Chen could have ascended to untainted land long ago, but he had not chosen to do so. What was the reason? It was to build a good foundation. If not for Yi Chen's decision, how could Yi Chen have obtained primordial spiritual treasures and primordial cardinal treasures, which were enough to make the mighty people of untainted land envious? If not for Yi Chen's decision, how could Yi Chen have obtained a huge amount of primordial attribute points and several mystiques in the newbie area? If not for Yi Chen's decision, how could Yi Chen have obtained the loyalty of the howling celestial dog, the nine-tailed celestial fox, Tushan Daji, and the outer body incarnation of the Hoodoo ancestor, Mengpa? If not for Yi Chen's decision, how could Yi Chen's Great Tao Immortal Platform, the Tai Chi Red Lotus Immortal Platform, appear? If not for Yi Chen's decision, how could Yi Chen have refined the Grand Sun Primordial Fire and the Grand Moon Primordial Fire, which were among the 10 most powerful flames in untainted land? It could be said that everything that Yi Chen had obtained in the newbie area was related to the goal that Yi Chen had set at the beginning, which was to ascend to untainted land. It was also because of Yi Chen's struggle to ascend to untainted land that he had obtained everything that he had today. And all of this would allow Yi Chen to have a great breakthrough after he ascended to untainted land. Then, he would rise to power. At the thought of this, Yi Chen looked directly at the 12th grade Black Lotus of Destruction, which had already recognized Yi Chen as its master, but had been transmitting grievances to Yi Chen. "You rascal, you still feel wronged? If not for my strength, I would have been destroyed by you." When Yi Chen said this, the 12th grade Black Lotus of Destruction trembled violently. After sensing the fear and worry of the 12th grade Black Lotus of Destruction, Yi Chen could not help but smile, and then he said, "You don't have to worry that I will mistreat you. I am not that petty." Yi Chen said this, glanced at the 12th grade Black Lotus of Destruction, and then continued, "However, you have to remember one thing. Obediently work for me. When I refine you, you have to cooperate obediently. Don't tell me that you can't control the innate divine restriction contained in your innate treasure. I know that your innate treasure can reduce the difficulty of refining the innate divine restriction contained in your innate divine treasure." Chapter 10:23. The innate divine restriction was a powerful restriction unique to innate spirit treasures and innate cardinal treasures. At the same time, it was the source of the strength of innate spirit treasures and innate cardinal treasures. Anyone who wanted to unleash the full power of an innate spirit treasure or innate cardinal treasure would have to refine all the innate divine restrictions it contained. To be more precise, refining our innate spirit treasure or innate cardinal treasure was equivalent to refining the innate divine restrictions. Among innate spirit treasures, the innate divine restrictions had the least number of innate divine restrictions 12 and the highest number 36. For example, the treasure fall coin that Yi Chen had obtained was a supreme grade innate spirit treasure with 36 innate divine restrictions. It was the same for innate spirit treasures and innate cardinal treasures. Among innate cardinal treasures, the innate divine restrictions had the least number of innate divine restrictions 37 and the highest number 81. For example, Yi Chen's innate cardinal treasure Godslayer, the level 12 Black Lotus of Destruction, and the innate cardinal treasure Pagoda of Heaven and Earth all had 81 innate divine restrictions. Above innate cardinal treasures were chaos cardinal treasures. They were different from innate spirit treasures and innate cardinal treasures in that they had chaos divine restrictions, which were even more powerful than innate divine restrictions. However, this was not important. What was important was that in order to unleash the full power of a connate spiritual treasure or connate cardinal treasure, one had to completely refine the connate divine seals contained within the connate spiritual treasure or connate cardinal treasure. Otherwise, it could only be used as a powerful weapon. For example, Yi Chen was in such a state when he used the Godslayer. It could not be helped. After all, although Yi Chen was the Godslayer's owner, he had not officially refined the Godslayer. Of course, even if Yi Chen was ready to refine the Godslayer and the Godslayer cooperated, Yi Chen would not be able to refine the 81 innate divine restrictions on the Godslayer easily and unleash the full power of the Godslayer. It would be the same even if Yi Chen used the Enlightenment Stone and entered the Enlightenment mode to refine the Godslayer. This was because Yi Chen's tribulation stage cultivation was right there. If one could quickly refine connate spiritual treasures and connate cardinal treasures at such a level, there wouldn't have been so many cases of players obtaining connate spiritual treasures in his previous life only to have them snatched away by experts or almighty figures in the eldritch world so easily. Of course, this was not important. What was important was that the grade 12 Black Lotus of Destruction was a little special. It had been forced to recognize Yi Chen as its master. Under such circumstances, if Yi Chen wanted to refine the Black Lotus of Destruction, there was a high chance that the Black Lotus of Destruction would deliberately refuse to cooperate. Not only would it not reduce the difficulty of refining the innate divine seals it contained, but it would also secretly increase the difficulty of refining the 81 innate divine seals. It was also for this reason that Yi Chen had said this after the grade 12 Black Lotus of Annihilation had recognized him as its master. Hearing Yi Chen's simple and straightforward words, the grade 12 Black Lotus of Destruction suddenly trembled and then hurriedly transmitted a thought to Yi Chen. After sensing that the grade 12 Black Lotus of Destruction would not dare to do so, Yi Chen raised his eyebrows and said, "If you follow me, you will not be able to absorb the negative energy. This is only temporary. When I transcend the tribulation and become an immortal, the Great Path Immortal Foundation will integrate into the immortal spirit that evolved from the primordial spirit. At that time, the characteristic of burning the negative energy will become my talent and I will be able to use it as I wish. Moreover, it is not absolute that you can't absorb the negative energy now. When the war starts, you can come out and absorb the resentment, fear, hatred, blood chi, and other negative energy on the battlefield. However, you have to be fast. Otherwise, these negative energy may be burned away." The Great Path Immortal Foundation that Yi Chen had forged was the Great Path Immortal Foundation, the Tai Chi Red Lotus Immortal Foundation. Its function was to burn away all the negative energy within 10,000 kilometers of Yi Chen. This range would continue to expand as Yi Chen's realm increased. Such an attribute was the natural enemy of the grade 12 Black Lotus of Annihilation. Otherwise, when the rank 12 Black Lotus of World Destruction saw the God-slaying spear, it would have recognized Yi Chen as its master long ago. It would not have lowered its head and acknowledged Yi Chen as its master. Of course, this was not important. What was important was that Yi Chen walked the path of the King of Providence. Therefore, it was inevitable that he would go to war on the battlefield. Once a war broke out, all kinds of negative energy would also erupt. Although all these negative energy would be burned away because of Yi Chen, this would take time and would not happen. The negative energy would be burned away as soon as it appeared. Therefore, the grade 12 Black Lotus of Annihilation still had a chance to absorb the negative energy. However, the amount of negative energy that the grade 12 Black Lotus of Annihilation could absorb was at least 90% less than normal. It could not be helped. The attribute of Yi Chen's Great Path Immortal Foundation, the Tai Chi Red Lotus Immortal Foundation, was really abnormal. In fact, Yi Chen did not want the grade 12 Black Lotus of Annihilation to be unable to absorb any negative energy. After all, the grade 12 Black Lotus of Annihilation relied on absorbing negative energy to unleash its power. Of course, Yi Chen did not have any special good methods to control the burning away negative energy characteristic of the Great Path Immortal Foundation at this moment. If there was a way, it could only be done when the whole country ascended to the untainted land and Yi Chen underwent the tribulation to become an immortal. The Great Path Immortal Foundation would merge with the immortal spirit formed by the primordial spirit and automatically become Yi Chen's gifted divine power. Of course, if Yi Chen had not been reborn, he would not have known that when the Immortal Foundation underwent the tribulation to become an immortal, it would merge with the immortal spirit formed by the primordial spirit and subsequently obtain gifted divine power. However, this was not important. What was important was that the grade 12 Black Lotus of Annihilation was not a primordial treasure that could only be seen but could not be used by Yi Chen. As soon as Yi Chen finished speaking, the grade 12 Black Lotus of Annihilation floating in midair trembled violently. At this moment, a surge of extreme excitement and some hidden bitterness emerged from the grade 12 Black Lotus of Annihilation and exploded in the underground space of Changbai Mountain. Noticing this, Yi Chen could not help but smile and then said, "Don't blame me. King attacked me from the beginning. It's good enough that I didn't directly seal you. Do you still want me to say something nice to you?" As soon as Yi Chen finished speaking, the grade 12 Black Lotus of Annihilation trembled again and then hurriedly flew to Yi Chen's side and intimately rubbed Yi Chen's arm. No matter how one looked at it, it was acting coquettishly. Noticing this, Yi Chen could not help but smile and then said, "For now, you can stay in the outside world. You don't have to go to the Z Mansion. Otherwise, you will definitely feel more uncomfortable." After hearing Yi Chen's words, the grade 12 Black Lotus of Annihilation suddenly trembled and then flew directly to Yi Chen's feet and dragged Yi Chen up. Chapter 10:24. When Yi Chen saw the rank 12 Black Lotus of Destruction move, he smiled and waved his right hand. The Godslayer flew to Yi Chen's side and disappeared. The rank 12 Black Lotus of Destruction didn't want to stay in the Purple Mansion because of Yi Chen's Great Tao Immortal Foundation and Tai Chi Red Lotus Immortal Foundation, but the Godslayer didn't say that. Looking at the obedient rank 12 Black Lotus of Destruction under his feet, Yi Chen's mind moved. The Black Lotus of Destruction instantly turned into a black light and flashed away. At the foot of Changbai Mountain, above the huge crater created by the Sun Truefire, the black light appeared, and then Yi Chen appeared in the sky on the rank 12 Black Lotus of Destruction. The Black Lotus of Destruction's speed wasn't bad. When Yi Chen thought of this, the female players of Beauty's Alliance who saw Yi Chen on the ground were all stunned. Before Yi Chen went to the crater, there wasn't a Black Lotus under his feet. But now it appeared. How could the female players of Beauty's Alliance not be stunned? At this moment, the Great Han Empire's cavalry general, Yu Zhou governor, and Yu of Beach's #1 player, Yi Chen, had obtained a new treasure. This thought appeared in the minds of all the female players of Beauty's Alliance. After coming back to their senses, Beauty's Alliance Master Li Mengyao, Hu Xiaoye, and the female players of Beauty's Alliance all bowed to Yi Chen, who was standing on the Black Lotus of Destruction. "Greetings, Master." Yi Chen hadn't signed a slave contract with them yet. Strictly speaking, he wasn't their master yet. However, in the hearts of all the female players of Beauty's Alliance, even if Yi Chen hadn't signed a slave contract with them, he was already their master. Of course, they called Yi Chen this way because they were worried that Yi Chen would go back on his word and not take them as slaves. Even though they knew that Yi Chen, the #1 player, wouldn't go back on his word, they couldn't help but feel worried. It couldn't be helped. They wanted to follow Yi Chen too much and were afraid that something bad would happen. At first glance, the thoughts of the female players of Beauty's Alliance were brainless, but that was the truth. If there was anything to blame, it would be the changes in the real world and the fact that Yi Chen had captured the hearts of all the female players in Beauty's Alliance. Of course, Beauty Alliance's actions would never have happened before the meteor shower. No matter how rich a person was, he wouldn't be able to make tens of thousands of women fall in love with him and follow him wholeheartedly. However, it was different now. The meteor had fallen, the primordial world game had started, and the real world had changed greatly. All of this had completely disrupted the original order. What monogamy? What women need to be pampered? It's all bullshit. The entire world adhered to the law of the jungle. The strong preyed on the weak. Whoever was strong would have everything. If you wanted a woman, as long as you were awesome and strong enough, you could just use force. No one would dare to say anything, no one would dare to interfere. To be more precise, in the real world after the meteor shower, the value of women had been pushed to the bottom by the cruel reality. Before the meteor shower, if a man wanted a woman, as long as he had money, there would be women following him. If you had good looks and a sense of humor, you would be even more attractive to women. However, there was a limit to this. That was, if a man had to be focused on having several women at the same time, it would only make most of the women stay away from him. Of course, the business relationship between men and women was an exception. However, this wasn't important. What was important was that the female players of Beauty's Alliance no longer had the thoughts of women before the meteor shower. They only had one thing in mind, and that was to follow Yi Chen. Even if they had to be slaves, they would be willing. As soon as the female players of Beauty's Alliance finished speaking, Yi Chen, who was standing on the Black Lotus of Destruction, nodded and said, "Stand together." As soon as Yi Chen finished speaking, the eyes of the female players of Beauty's Alliance lit up. Then, they all excitedly ran towards Li Mengyao's location. After the time it took to drink a cup of tea, the female players of Beauty's Alliance stood together. In the sky, Yi Chen, who was standing on the Black Lotus of Destruction, glanced at the female players of Beauty's Alliance who had survived the battle with the World Society and who had revived after dying. He inwardly sighed. Then, with a thought, the ancient contract book instantly appeared in front of Yi Chen. Seeing Yi Chen's action, the eyes of the female players of Beauty's Alliance lit up. "It's starting, it's really starting." The same thought appeared in the minds of all the female players of Beauty's Alliance at the same time. In the sky, Yi Chen, who was standing on the Black Lotus of Destruction, glanced at the ancient contract book floating in front of him, and then opened it. At this moment, the thought of signing a slave contract, a master-slave contract, or an equal contract instantly appeared in Yi Chen's mind. Sensing this, Yi Chen didn't hesitate to choose the slave contract. Although the female players of Beauty's Alliance were all willing to follow Yi Chen, and they were all sincere, Yi Chen wouldn't change his mind about signing a slave contract just because of this. For Yi Chen, the right way to do things was to have everything in his hands. Signing a slave contract with the female players of Beauty's Alliance was the right decision. At least, that was what Yi Chen thought. Moreover, he wouldn't change his mind because of anyone or anything. After Yi Chen made his decision, a huge 8 trigrams array appeared on the ground, emitting tens of thousands of rays of golden light. Within the 8 trigrams array, there were tens of thousands of runes. On the screen of light, tadpole-like characters constantly swam about, looking exceptionally gorgeous. At the same time, the sound of the great Tao appeared out of thin air. The female players of Beauty's Alliance in the 8 trigrams array were dazed for a moment because of the brilliance of the 8 trigrams array. Then, tens of thousands of red pillars of light appeared and enveloped Yi Chen and all the female players of Beauty's Alliance. In the next second, a mysterious and incomprehensible sound suddenly rang out. This was a special language, like the voice of the soul, and it contained the aura of the great Tao. Yi Chen, who had heard it several times, instantly had a hint of understanding. However, Yi Chen immediately threw the idea of comprehending the voice of the great Tao to the back of his mind without hesitation. Now wasn't the time to comprehend this. After all, Yi Chen was signing a slave contract with Beauty's Alliance. If Yi Chen turned his head to comprehend the voice of the soul that appeared because of the contract, then the signing process of the slave contract would definitely be interrupted, and then it would end in failure. That way, the female players of Beauty's Alliance would either die in the game or die in the real world. And if the female players of Beauty's Alliance died in the real world, there was an 80 to 90% chance that they would become demonic spirits that Yi Chen didn't want to see the most. Then, they would bring endless harm to Yi Chen's subordinate. That wasn't the result that Yi Chen wanted to see. Time passed little by little. The instant the voice of the soul that contained the aura of the great Tao ended, Yi Chen felt that he could control the life and death of all the female players of Beauty's Alliance with just his mind. Sensing this, Yi Chen couldn't help but raise his eyebrows. Finally, it worked. This way, this group of girls wouldn't become devil spirits anymore. Just as Yi Chen thought of this, the female players of Beauty's Alliance looked at each other, then looked up at Yi Chen in unison, and then bowed sweetly to Yi Chen. "Greetings, Master." Chapter 10:25. When Yi Chen heard the greetings from the female players of Beauty's Alliance, he nodded his head and looked at Hu Xiaoye. Take out the Grand Yin Truefire diagram. Hu Xiaoye had to obtain the Grand Yin Truefire to pass the test and officially become a primordial cultivator. Yi Chen wouldn't have given Hu Xiaoye the Grand Yin Truefire if he hadn't enslaved all the female players in the Beauty Alliance. But things were different now. Yi Chen had enslaved all the female players in the Beauty Alliance. Moreover, Yi Chen had promised Hu Xiaoye that after refining the Grand Yin Truefire, he would give her a Grand Yin Truefire to help her complete the Primordial Cultivator's test. Therefore, Yi Chen wouldn't go back on his words or do anything stingy that he wasn't willing to give. Of course, if Hu Xiaoye didn't swear an oath to the Great Tao to be loyal to Yi Chen forever after obtaining the Grand Yin Truefire and completing the Primordial Cultivator's test, Yi Chen wouldn't hesitate to kill her on the spot even if she was a slave. The reason was simple. The Primordial Cultivator was a special class among the players. It was very abnormal and had a few chances of becoming a saint. Even if it wasn't good enough, it could still become a demi-saint. Yi Chen didn't want to personally cultivate a powerful enemy who would automatically cancel the slave contract at the demi-saint stage. This was the case even if Hu Xiaoye's entire heart was on Yi Chen. As soon as Yi Chen finished speaking, Hu Xiaoye's eyes suddenly lit up. She hurriedly bowed to Yi Chen and said, "Yes, Master." Hu Xiaoye waved her right hand and an ancient-looking scroll appeared in her right hand. Seeing this, Yi Chen raised his right hand and flicked his finger. With a buzzing sound, a small blue flame instantly appeared and flew straight toward Hu Xiaoye. On the ground, Hu Xiaoye hurriedly opened the Grand Yin Truefire diagram in her right hand and aimed it at the Grand Yin Truefire flying towards her. The moment Yi Chen's Grand Yin Truefire hit the Grand Yin Truefire diagram in Hu Xiaoye's hand, ripples appeared out of thin air and the Grand Yin Truefire diagram disappeared. "Thank you, Master." Hu Xiaoye was overjoyed when she saw this. Then, she bowed and thanked Yi Chen loudly. When Yi Chen heard this, he chuckled and nodded. At this moment, the lunar Truefire diagram in Hu Xiaoye's hand suddenly turned into a ball of blue light. Then, it flew directly into Hu Xiaoye's forehead and disappeared. At this moment, a world announcement suddenly. Ding! Congratulations to player Hu Xiaoye for being the second person to obtain a special job, Immemorial Cultivator. Player Hu Xiaoye is rewarded with 90 innate attribute point. The world announcement was repeated 3 times in a row, instantly exploding in the world channel. F***CK. F***CK. Primordial Cultivator? I remember that this class was obtained before Yi Chen and Yi Yu of Gojoseon. You didn't remember wrongly. F***CK, that's weird. Could it be that the Primordial Cultivator's inheritance is so easy to obtain? Who the hell knows? Anyway, Hu Xiaoye is now the second Primordial Cultivator and got 90 attribute points as a reward. If I remember correctly, Hu Xiaoye should be the vice leader of Beauty Alliance. Now that she's a primordial cultivator, who would dare to mess with Beauty Alliance? Brother, are you kidding? Even if Hu Xiaoye isn't a primordial cultivator, who would dare to mess with Beauty Alliance? Are they tired of living? Hee, now that you mention it, there really are people who would dare to mess with them. Don't forget about the gang that was destroyed by Yi Yu of Gojoseon. They seem to want to take Beauty Alliance under their banner. Unfortunately, they were all killed by Yi Yu of Gojoseon. That's because those idiots don't have eyes. Didn't they think about the relationship between Yi Yu of Gojoseon and Beauty Alliance? To be honest, I didn't think Beauty Alliance had anything to do with Boss Yichen before. After all, Boss Yichen didn't pay much attention to Beauty Alliance. Although he helped them, he didn't take them as his subordinate. But it's different now. Those women in Beauty Alliance all call Boss Yichen master. It'd be strange if there's nothing between them. Don't talk about such useless things. Aren't you curious how he became a primordial cultivator? Who says we're not curious? But do you dare ask Beauty Alliance? I dare say that if you go to the Beauty Alliance to ask, Boss Yichen will kill you. Ahem. I'm just joking to lighten the mood. Yi Yu of Gojoseon, don't take it seriously. The World Channel was in an uproar. Yichen took a look and was about to retract his gaze when he frowned. New Yen Wang Alliance congratulates Miss Hu Xiaoye for becoming a primordial cultivator. Also, New Yen Wang Alliance invites Beauty Alliance to join us. The position of Deputy Alliance Leader will be empty. Her power will be equal to the Alliance Leader. Although the New Yen Wang Alliance's words were quickly drowned out by the discussions of the players, Yi Chen still saw the entire content. At that instant, an extremely tyrannical killing intent appeared from Yi Chen's body with a ting, and then directly exploded. It was one thing for the New Yen Wang Alliance to jump around, but now they were jumping around again. When Yi Chen killed the Nether Blood Demon and destroyed Silla Country, the New Yen Wang Alliance congratulated Yi Chen on the World Channel. Of course, congratulating Yi Chen wasn't a problem. Yi Chen wouldn't think much of it and wouldn't be angry. However, the problem was that the New Yen Wang Alliance also invited Yi Chen to the New Yen Wang Alliance to discuss the Yen Wang Alliance's future together. At first glance, the New Yen Wang Alliance was thinking for all the Eastern players and was contributing to the Eastern players. They were completely selfless and were thinking for the Eastern players. However, one must not forget that Yi Chen was at a crucial time and couldn't be distracted by the matters of the real world. If Yi Chen was distracted, not to mention whether or not he could completely deal with the Devil Race players in the real world, just this time alone wasn't something Yi Chen could afford to waste. This was because to deal with the Devil Race in the real world, even Yi Chen would need many months. Moreover, he could only deal with 50% of the Devil Race. To completely deal with the Devil Race, he would need many years or even longer. After all, the Devil Race players weren't fools. They knew that after Yi Chen went on a killing spree, he would definitely go into hiding. Hence, the words of the New Yen Wang Alliance were filled with evil intentions. Moreover, it was the truth. However, this wasn't important. What was important was that the various hidden powers also wanted Yi Chen to do the same. If not, why would those hidden powers purposely make all the players who mocked Yi Chen in the World Channel praise Yi Chen? They wanted to make Yi Chen proud and arrogant so that he could act and destroy the Devil Race in the real world. After that, the hidden powers would obtain a safe living environment. They would submit on the surface and develop in the dark to catch up to Yi Chen and surpass Yi Chen. As for Yi Chen, as long as he was praised to the point that he didn't know what his surname was, then Yi Chen's time would definitely be delayed. His strength and influence would stagnate. This wasn't Yi Chen's random judgment but the truth. Hence, as long as Yi Chen fell for it, there would only be one outcome. Not only would he be working for others, but he would also be in more and more danger. One could say that be it the New Yen Wang Alliance or the various hidden powers, they all wanted to borrow Yi Chen's strength to obtain benefits for themselves. This was also the reason why when Yi Chen saw the so-called compliments of the new Yen-Huang alliance, he immediately thought that there might be a hidden power behind the new Yen-Huang alliance and wanted to kill them. Yi Chen was not a good person. It was impossible for him to stupidly contribute everything he had just for the sake of national righteousness and the banner of justice. To Yi Chen, the real world wasn't without danger. However, the danger that Yi Chen thought of was different from what the other players thought. More accurately speaking, the danger that Yi Chen thought of came from the devil race, but at the same time, it came from the human race. This wasn't Yi Chen's subjective guess, but reality. If not, how could those overlords in Yi Chen's last life fall? Because of the devil race? What a joke. More than 90% of the overlords who ruled over a region had died in the hands of humans. It was precisely because Yi Chen had seen countless betrayals and plots in his previous life that he made up his mind after his rebirth. He did not want to take in any kind of power, nor did he want to take in any kind of followers. Of course, taking in the Beauty Alliance was an exception. If he had to blame someone, he could only blame the Beauty Alliance for being too perverted. Yi Chen didn't want them to die in the real world and become devil spirits to cause trouble for Yi Chen and Yi Chen's underlings. Of course, this wasn't important. What was important was that in the real world after the meteor fell, people's hearts had already developed towards the dark side along with the world's great changes. It could be said that as long as there was an opportunity, betrayals, plots, and murders would definitely occur. This was especially so for the various powers. Yi Chen was no exception. This was because Yi Chen was the strongest existence in the human race. Of course, the prerequisite was that Yi Chen had taken in the player powers and underlings. However, this wasn't important. What was important was that if an opportunity to kill Yi Chen appeared, although not everyone would take action, there would definitely be a large number of people who would take action. As for the reason, it was simple. If they killed Yi Chen, they would be able to obtain everything from Yi Chen. It was because Yi Chen was clear about this that he would kill anyone who dared to plot against him without hesitation. It was like this before, it was like this now, and it wouldn't change in the future. Killing when needed, not showing mercy. This was Yi Chen's attitude towards the players. The new Yen-Huang alliance wanted to plot against him before, and now they wanted to plot against the Beauty Alliance. It would be weird if there wasn't a hidden power behind them. Thinking about this, Yi Chen's eyes shone with a cold light. Just nice, the reincarnation Immortal City Army needed to rest for a night. He would use this chance to go offline and settle down the Beauty Alliance before going to meet these righteous people. He would show them what cruelty was. Chapter 10:26. Thinking of this, Yi Chen looked directly at Hu Xiaoye, who had just become an Archean cultivator. Unexpectedly, before Yi Chen could speak, Hu Xiaoye, who had recovered from her surprise, noticed Yi Chen's gaze. In that instant, Hu Xiaoye imitated the ancient people and got down on one knee. Then, she raised 3 fingers to the sky and shouted, "I, Hu Xiaoye, swear to the Tao that from today onwards, I will follow my master, Yi Chen. No matter what state I am in, I, Hu Xiaoye, will never betray my master. If I violate this oath, my soul will be destroyed, and I will never be able to reincarnate." As soon as Hu Xiaoye finished her oath, a thunderous roar could be heard. This was the world's affirmation and response to Hu Xiaoye's oath. If other players who hadn't reached the mortal evolution state made such an oath, they wouldn't receive a response from the world. This was because they didn't have the right. However, Hu Xiaoye was different. The moment she became an archaic cultivator, she obtained the right to become powerful. At the same time, she obtained the right to receive a response from the world. On the ground, the female players of Beauty's Alliance were stunned by Hu Xiaoye's vow and the sudden thunderous roar. They looked at each other in confusion. They didn't expect Hu Xiaoye to suddenly make an oath. In fact, they couldn't be blamed for being stunned. After all, Yi Chen told Hu Xiaoye telepathically, "As long as you become an archaic cultivator, You will swear to the Tao to be loyal to Yi Chen forever. When the female players of Beauty's alliance came back to their senses, their alliance master Li Mengyao and the other female players all followed Hu Xiaoya's example and knelt on one knee. Then, they shouted at Yi Chen, "Yi Chen! I, Li Mengyao Wang Mengmeng, swear to the Tao that from today onwards, I will follow my master, Yi Chen. No matter what state I am in, I, Li Mengyao Wang Mengmeng, will never betray my master. If I violate this oath, my soul will be destroyed, and I will never be able to reincarnate." As soon as the female players of Beauty Alliance finished speaking, the thunderous roar could be heard again. Boom! Crack! This time, the thunderous roar was different from when Hu Xiaoya swore. Although it was softer, there were tens of thousands of thunderous roars. Yi Chen was startled when he heard the rumbling thunder. What was going on? Why would their oath receive a response from the world? Moreover, everyone was like this, in Yi Chen's opinion. The female players of Beauty Alliance shouldn't receive a response from the world. However, this wasn't the case. Their oath not only received a response from the world, but it also received a response over tens of thousands of times. What did that mean? It was simple. Every female player of Beauty's alliance, without exception, had the right to vow that the world would respond to them. Without a doubt, they all had the potential, at least, they had the potential of the Daluo Jintian level. Even if they wasn't in the world wouldn't receive a response, they wouldn't receive a response from the world. It was still, if there were 10 wouldn't be 10,000 10. Wait, could it be that it's because of me? Thinking of this, Yi Chen was once again stunned. Then, his eyes suddenly widened. Damn it, that must be it. I'm walking the path of the Emperor of Fate. Before I ascend, I must create a Fate dynasty. This way, although the female players of Beauty Alliance were slaves, their identities as players were equivalent to citizens of the Reincarnation Dynasty. They could enjoy the boost in cultivation speed from the Reincarnation Dynasty. Thinking about this, Yi Chen's mouth couldn't help but twitch. Damn it, luckily they all swore. Otherwise, I would have made a mistake in my judgment. If the female players of Beauty Alliance didn't follow Hu Xiaoya's example and swear to Yi Chen to express their loyalty, then many years later, these female players of Beauty Alliance would most likely all advance to the Daluo Jinxian level. Then, the slave contract would become invalid. After that, they would obtain freedom. Once this happened, Yi Chen wouldn't be able to control the mentality and thoughts of these women. If they didn't become enemies with Yi Chen, it wouldn't be a big deal, and Yi Chen wouldn't care. But if they all bore a grudge against Yi Chen because he didn't sleep with them and didn't become Yi Chen's woman, and became enemies with Yi Chen, or, because they had gained strength and gained freedom, they had other thoughts and became enemies with Yi Chen. That was something Yi Chen didn't want to see. Of course, Yi Chen wasn't afraid. After all, Yi Chen was the ruler of the Reincarnation Dynasty. If the female players of Beauty Alliance all advanced to the Daluo Jinxian level, Yi Chen would have already proven his Dao. However, although he wasn't afraid, Yi Chen was 100% sure that it would give him a headache. After all, there were tens of thousands of Daluo Jinxian, and they were all trained by Yi Chen himself. It was also because of this reason that Yi Chen secretly exclaimed that he was lucky. Damn it, if it weren't for them, I would have overlooked the ability of the Reincarnation Dynasty to change the fate of players. Luckily, I didn't want to take in any players as followers in the first place. Otherwise, in the end, wouldn't he be shooting himself in the foot? But then again, if I took in Beauty Alliance, it would be equivalent to gaining tens of thousands of Beauty Alliance players. At least I could become a subordinate of the Daluo Jinxian. Maybe I could even become a presaint. At this thought, Yi Chen's eyes lit up. After Yi Chen ascended to the primeval world, he would have to face not only the natives of the primeval world, but also players from other worlds. Among these players, Yi Chen didn't care about the ordinary ones at all. But Yi Chen couldn't ignore the Sons of Fate, who walked the same path as Yi Chen. These people were all freaks like Yi Chen. Of course, these players weren't freaks like Yi Chen, but they deserved to be called freak. Unless Yi Chen could guarantee that he would always be more freaks than them, he wouldn't have an easy time against them. But that wasn't important. What was important was that these freaks also had many powerful subordinates, and each of them had great potential. If it weren't for this, Yi Chen wouldn't have taken in so many native subordinates from the beginner's area of the Three Kingdoms. But now, Yi Chen had gained tens of thousands of subordinates who were at least as powerful as the Daluo Jinxian. Naturally, he was delighted. At this thought, Yi Chen couldn't help but raise his eyebrows. Then, he said, "Go offline. I'll take you to Reincarnation City later." "Yes, Master." When the tens of thousands of female players of Beauty Alliance heard this, their eyes lit up. Then, they bowed to Yi Chen excitedly. Chapter 10:27. Yi Chen nodded when he heard the excited words of the female players from the Beauty Alliance. Then, with a thought, he went offline. In the real world, Samsara City, the Castellan's mansion. The diamond-level game cabin opened with a creak. Yi Chen immediately stood up from the game cabin. At the same time, the flaming tiger Yi Lin, who was cultivating, opened her eyes and called out, "Brother." Yi Chen nodded with a smile when he heard this. Then, he froze. There were a few ice sculptures in the front yard of the Castellan's mansion. There were 2 golden boars and 3 silver wolves. The evolvers. When Yi Chen obtained the heavenly book, he killed a golden python and activated the hatred mark of the evolvers. It was also at that time that Yi Chen learned about the evolvers. Of course, this was not important. What was important was that the flesh and blood of the evolvers could strengthen the body and improve the bone structure. Such an ability was no different from a treasure of heaven and earth. Of course, the flesh and blood of the evolvers could not only strengthen the body and improve the bone structure, but it was also a top food ingredient. Yi Chen had already verified this point. It was because of this discovery that Yi Chen immediately told the flaming tiger Yi Lin to pay attention to all movements within 100 miles of Samsara City. If they saw any special creatures, such as golden or silver, as long as they had a single color and were pure beasts, they would not let any of them go. And now, what did Yi Chen see? There were 5 evolvers. Although 2 of them were of the gold level and 3 of them were of the silver level, which seemed a little small and unsightly, it clearly told Yi Chen one thing. That was, the evolved clan had come to take revenge on Yi Chen. In this way, Yi Chen's plan to hunt down the evolvers could officially start. After that, Yi Chen could reap a lot of benefits. Of course, the prerequisite for this was that there had to be a sufficient number of evolvers, and there had to be enough of them looking for Yi Chen for revenge. In that case, were there a lot of evolvers? The answer was, of course, uncertain. This was because even in Yi Chen's previous life, he had never heard of any news regarding the evolved race, let alone where they were located. How could he know the exact number of the evolved race? But this wasn't important. What was important was that the evolvers had come for revenge and would come again in the future. This was because Yi Chen had the mark of hatred of the evolved race on his body. With this, even if the evolvers feared the power of Samsara City and Yi Chen, they would not dare to seek revenge. This was only temporary. As time passed, they would still come to Samsara City to seek revenge on Yi Chen for revenge. This way, Yi Chen would be able to obtain a steady stream of benefits until the evolved race was completely wiped out. Damn it, I forgot to tell Yi Lin to fish. The fish Yi Chen wanted to fish was naturally to deliberately hide his strength and mislead the evolvers. This would cause the evolvers to misjudge the power of Samsara City, and then they would attack Samsara City without restraint. Unfortunately, Yi Chen was in a hurry to return to the game world at that time, so he did not think much about it and did not tell Flaming Tiger Yi Lin to use the same method to fish the evolvers. Thinking of this, Yi Chen could not help but twitch the corner of his mouth. Then he looked straight at Flaming Tiger Yilin and said, "These 5 members of the evolved race should be spies sent by the evolvers. It should not be long before the evolvers send more spies to investigate the situation in Samsara City. When that time comes, remember to leave a half-dead one and let it run back to report. Also, if there is no danger, don't do anything. Let Zhou do it." After hearing Yi Chen's words, Flaming Tiger Yilin was slightly taken aback. Then she hurriedly said, "Brother, there are 6 evolvers. Brother, there are 6 evolvers in total this time. When they first appeared, they were very careful. They circled around Samsara City, and their strength was not very strong. Therefore, I asked General Zhou to lead the troops and kill 5 of them. He injured and deliberately let one escape. I did not do anything." After hearing Flaming Tiger Yilin's explanation, Yi Chen could not help but be taken aback. Damn, Yilin is really something. She thought of what I did not mention and did it correctly. If all the members of the evolved race, who came to Samsara City this time, were killed on the spot, then it was very likely that the evolved race would send more spies to Samsara City to investigate the situation. It was also because of this judgment that Yi Chen had warned Flaming Tiger Yilin not to do anything. Moreover, she had to let one of them escape so that more of them would be attracted. Otherwise, the evolved race would very likely have scruples about Samsara City because 2 of their spies were killed. They would temporarily give up attacking Samsara City and seek revenge on Yi Chen. As for how long this would last, Yi Chen could not tell. However, it was certain that the evolved race would not come to Samsara City within a few months. Of course, this was the situation that Yi Chen did not want to see the most. In fact, the Flaming Tiger Yilin did not do anything at all. In this way, the evolved race would not know that Samsara City and the Flaming Tiger Yilin, a divine beast of the Purple Mansion realm, were there. After that, they would make a wrong judgment based on Zhou, who was guarding Samsara City, and the number of soldiers in Samsara City. Samsara City was strong, but not strong enough to make them unable to seek revenge. As long as they could gather a large number of evolved race members at once, it would be easy for them to break into Samsara City. After that, their goal of seeking revenge on Yi Chen would be achieved. At first glance, Yi Chen thought that this was a big bug. After all the shifter players knew who Yi Chen was. How could the evolved race not know who Yi Chen was? In fact, they really did not know. This was because the evolved race was a very special existence. They were blessed by the heavens, but they could not log into the game. And if they could not log into the game, how could they know who Yi Chen was? This point could be easily seen from Yi Chen's killing of the golden python. It did not know who Yi Chen was, nor did it know how strong Yi Chen was. Otherwise, the golden python would have run away the moment it saw Yi Chen. How could it dare to fight Yi Chen head-on? In fact, if the golden python really knew Yi Chen, it would not have appeared. When Yi Chen's primordial spirit rushed into the heavenly book world, its remnant soul deliberately called Yi Chen a human instead of calling Yi Chen by his name. As for the golden python's shifter subordinates, they did not tell the golden python who Yi Chen was. This was because the golden python's shifter subordinates were all controlled slaves or similar existences. Otherwise, why would they not run away when they saw Yi Chen despite being so scared? And when the golden python's life was hanging by a thread, they did not complain and offered their souls to the golden python. It was simple. It was not that they did not want to run, nor that they did not complain. It was just that they could not control their actions. They could not run, and they could not run. They could only obediently accept the control of the golden python, a member of the evolved clan. Under such circumstances, it was impossible to say that the shifter players controlled by the golden python did not hate Yi Chen. Even if the golden python was not a member of the evolved clan and was a shifter player, it could not stop the hatred in the hearts of the shifter players. Therefore, the shifter players controlled by the Golden Python could not tell the Golden Python the truth. They could not let the Golden Python be on guard in advance, or they could run away when they saw Yi Chen. This was also applicable to other evolved clans. Therefore, the evolvers had no idea who Yi Chen was. Otherwise, they wouldn't have dared to send spies outside the Samsara city to investigate the situation there. Of course, this was not important. What was important was that the Flaming Tiger Yi Lin had made the decision to bait from the beginning. This was equivalent to saving Yi Chen a few days of time. Most importantly, Yi Chen originally thought that the evolved clan would send spies to Samsara city again. This time, they would definitely come again and invade Samsara city on a large scale. Damn, the chance to make a fortune had come. Thinking of this, Yi Chen's eyes lit up. Chapter 10:28. It was no wonder that Yi Chen was so excited. After all, every part of the evolved race was a treasure. It was no different from heaven and earth treasures. It would be unreasonable if he did not take the opportunity to make a fortune. It was also not in line with Yi Chen's character. Thinking of this, Yi Chen left the diamond-level game chamber and came to Flaming Tiger Yi Lin. He raised his right hand and touched Flaming Tiger Yi Lin's little head. He said with a smile, "Well done. As long as Big Brother likes it." Hearing this, Yen Hu and Yi Lin sweetly smiled and said, Flaming Tiger Yi Lin was willing to do anything that could make Yi Chen happy and excited. The evolved race was obviously something that Yi Chen valued and could make Yi Chen happy. Therefore, Flaming Tiger Yi Lin acted on her own initiative and deliberately let an evolved race spy escape. She did not make a move herself. Her purpose was to fish and attract more evolved race spies. Then, she would catch all of them and make Yi Chen happy. This was Flaming Tiger Yi Lin's intention. It was very simple and pure. Now, Yi Chen's praise was undoubtedly the greatest affirmation of Flaming Tiger Yi Lin. Otherwise, how could Flaming Tiger Yi Lin be so happy? After hearing Flaming Tiger Yi Lin's words, Yi Chen could not help but smile. He then said, "Of course I like it. By the way, where are Xiaoyu, Monkey, and Tortoise?" The few times that Yi Chen returned, Yen Hu and Yi Lin were waiting in the main hall. As for the treasure-hunting fish Yi Xiaoyu, the golden-haired monkey and the tortoise, they would all come over very soon. However, the three of them had yet to appear. How could Yi Chen not be confused? Just as Yi Chen was about to release his divine sense to explore Samsara city, Flaming Tiger Yi Lin's face suddenly became serious. He went to capture the Black Emperor. What's wrong with the Black Emperor? When Yi Chen heard this, he couldn't help but be stunned. The Black King was a royal member of the Starry Sky Sword Dragon race. He had great potential. After being subdued by Yi Chen placed him in Samsara city in the real world. It was not impossible to bring it into the game world, but for now, it would limit the Black Emperor's cultivation. After all, the Black Emperor didn't have the title of Celestial Soldier or Celestial General. Once he arrived at the novice area of the Three Kingdoms, his Violet Palace realm cultivation would definitely be sealed, and he would be unable to continue advancing. Rather than staying in the Three Kingdoms novice zone and stagnating in his realm, he might as well stay in the real world and improve as he wished. Moreover, Yi Chen did not need the Black Emperor to do anything right now. However, what Yi Chen did not expect was that the reason why the treasure-hunting fish Yi Xiaoyu, the golden-haired monkey, and the tortoise with the bloodline of the divine beast Black Tortoise did not come to greet him in time was because of the Black Emperor. As soon as Yi Chen finished speaking, the Flaming Tiger Yi Lin hurriedly said, "Brother, when the Black Emperor flew out of Samsara city yesterday, he met a rabbit who called himself Lord Rabbit. After being provoked by the other party, the Black Emperor was enraged and said that he would kill that rabbit no matter what. In the end, the Black Emperor chased after him for a long time but was unable to catch up. Today, that rabbit took the initiative to run to Samsara city, and the Black Emperor ran out to chase after it. Rabbit? Lord Rabbit? Yi Chen was stunned when he heard this. Then, he frowned. When the flaming tiger Yi Lin heard this, she nodded and said, Brother, this demon is not a demon. It is also not a spirit beast, nor is it an immortal beast or a divine beast. As for its realm, it showed that it was in the Violet Palace realm. However, I am unable to confirm this at the moment. This is because when I found it outside Samsara City, I tried to catch it, but it narrowly avoided me every time. After that, I stopped because I felt that this rabbit was not simple. I was afraid that it would deliberately lead me away and harm you. When Yi Chen heard this, his eyes narrowed. A rabbit that was at least in the Violet Palace realm. It could not be a player. Otherwise, the world would have announced that a player had ascended to the Eldritch world. Since it was not a player, it must have been summoned to this world, or an existence that had transmigrated to this world. It was not a spirit beast, nor was it an immortal beast or a divine beast. Could it be that, like the Black Emperor, this rabbit was also a giant astral beast? When he thought of this, Yi Chen frowned again. Then, his primordial spirit moved, and an enormous divine sense was instantly released. In the next second, Yi Chen took a step forward and disappeared. 5,000 miles to the east of Samsara City, in a quiet valley. Black Emperor, who had run out of Samsara City and wanted to catch Uncle Rabbit, was looking at Uncle Rabbit, who was sitting on a huge rock and gnawing on a carrot the size of a rolling pin, with a displeased expression. Behind the Black Emperor was Yi Xiaoyu, who had just reached the Violet Palace realm, and two other Lolas that Yi Chen had never seen before. Xiaohei, what do you think? Are you convinced? The snow-white rabbit with scarlet eyes crossed its legs and looked at the unhappy Black Emperor with a complacent expression. Then, it stopped chewing on the huge carrot and asked. Roar! When the Black Emperor heard this, he was enraged and let out an earth-shattering roar. When the treasure-hunting fish Yi Xiaoyu heard this, her already unhappy expression became even worse. In the next second, the treasure-hunting fish Yi Xiaoyu grabbed the Black Emperor's ear and twisted it. Xiaohei, if my brother knew that you did not cultivate properly and ran out of Samsara City to mess around, he would definitely teach you a lesson. Hurry up and go back. The treasure-hunting fish was small, but she knew that it was not a good time to stay here. She had to hurry back to Samsara City. That was because the feeling the rabbit gave her was too strange. It looked like it was only at the Violet Palace realm, but it made the Black Emperor, Yi Lin, and her newly transformed golden-haired monkey and tortoise feel helpless. As soon as the treasure-hunting fish Yi Xiaoyu finished speaking, the snow-white rabbit's red eyes suddenly shrank. Then, in a flash, it appeared 100 meters away. At this moment, the space above the rabbit suddenly distorted. Then, Yi Chen stepped out and appeared there. The treasure-hunting fish Yi Xiaoyu's eyes lit up the moment she saw Yi Chen. Then, she shouted, Big brother! Master! The two Lolas behind Yi Xiaoyu, the treasure-hunting fish, bowed and greeted him. Roar! The Black Emperor lowered his head and shouted in an extremely soft voice. When Yi Chen heard this, he nodded. After glancing at his subordinates, he looked directly at the white-haired, red-eyed rabbit that had run 100 meters away and was waiting for him. Where are you from? Not only did you refine the Grand Sun Primordial Fire, but you also refined the Grand Moon Primordial Fire. You also know spatial magic? When the white-haired, red-eyed rabbit heard Yi Chen's question, it did not answer Yi Chen directly. Instead, it asked a question of its own. When Yi Chen heard this, his eyes narrowed. At the same time, a violent killing intent rose from Yi Chen's body. Don't test my patience. After Yi Chen finished speaking, the connate Cardinal Treasure Godslayer appeared in Yi Chen's right hand. Then, a destructive aura locked on to the white-haired, red-eyed rabbit. Godslayer. When the white-haired, red-eyed rabbit saw this, its eyes suddenly shrank. Then, it let out a female scream. When Yi Chen heard this, he could not help but be stunned. Then, he frowned. This damned rabbit. Was it a male or a female? If it was a female, why did it call itself Uncle Rabbit? Chapter 1029. Yi-Chen could not be blamed for being so suspicious. This rabbit called itself Uncle Rabbit. Just by hearing its name, one could tell it was a male rabbit. However, when this rabbit saw the god-slaying spear earlier, it let out a shriek that was obviously female. Otherwise, Yi-Chen wouldn't be so confused. It should be a female rabbit. The scream just now sounded like it came from the bottom of its heart. It knew about the Godslayer, and could tell that I refined the true fire of the sun and true fire of the moon. It also knew that I used spatial powers, so it should be from the eldritch world. However, it wasn't a monster, nor was it a spiritual beast, immortal beast, or divine beast. In that case, it could only be a monster from the eldritch world or a monster from the eldritch world. A monster from the eldritch world or a monster from the eldritch world. Lunar rabbit? Yi-Chen's eyes widened at this thought. It was definitely a lunar rabbit. Only a lunar rabbit born on the lunar star would fit the description of this rabbit. However, why didn't the lunar rabbit stay on the eldritch world's lunar star? Why did it respond to the summons and come to Earth? The lunar rabbit was a native of the eldritch world. It was born on the lunar star. If it wanted to come to Earth, it had to respond to the summoning altar's summons. However, the problem was that there was no reason for an existence like the lunar rabbit to come to Earth. After all, the lunar rabbit had never participated in the various wars in the eldritch world. Whether it was the war between the three races, the shaman tribulation, or the investiture of the gods, the lunar rabbit had always stayed on the lunar star and never left. But now, this lunar rabbit, or moon rabbit, had actually responded to the summons and come to Earth. This was something that had never happened in Yi-Chen's previous life. Otherwise, Yi-Chen wouldn't be so confused. No matter why this thing responded to the summons, it was true that it was summoned to Earth by the eldritch world's summoning altar. In other words, it probably knows everything about me. Thinking of this, Yi-Chen frowned. The lunar rabbit, also known as the moon rabbit, was a prehistoric beast. Most importantly, it was a native of the prehistoric world. If it returned to the prehistoric world and spread information about Yi-Chen, then Yi-Chen would be in danger once he ascended. The reason was simple. The lunar rabbit recognized the Godslayer in Yi-Chen's hand. If this news spread in the untainted world, Yi-Chen would definitely be targeted by many powerful figures once he ascended to the untainted world. If there was anyone to blame, it was Yi-Chen's Godslayer. It was the famous weapon of the fiend ancestor, Ra. Furthermore, it was a connate cardinal treasure with extremely perverse destructive power. The mighty figures of the untainted land, including the three pure ones, Goddess Nviwa, the Eastern Emperor Tai, and the Demon Emperor Dejuan, could not ignore such an existence. As for the players ascending, they might also spread the news that Yi-Chen had the Godslayer. This was especially true for the Eldritch World players. This was because both the human and Eldritch World players knew that Yi-Chen's Godslayer was very powerful. However, they didn't know that Yi-Chen's Godslayer was actually the famous weapon of the fiend ancestor, the connate cardinal treasure Godslayer. Therefore, Yi-Chen wouldn't care if the players ascended to the untainted world. However, the lunar rabbit was different. It recognized the Godslayer at a glance. Damn it, this damned rabbit. Instead of continuing to be a peaceful rabbit, it had to run to Earth and King recognized the God-slaying spear, kill it or subdue it, no matter what. He couldn't let the lunar rabbit return to the untainted land unscathed. Yi-Chen didn't know if the lunar rabbit would spread the news that Yi-Chen had the Godslayer after returning to the untainted land. However, this didn't affect Yi-Chen's decision. To Yi-Chen, everything had to be under his control. This was the simplest and safest choice. The reason the lunar rabbit could descend to Earth was because of those damned Eldritch World players. F***ck, wouldn't it be better if they just played the game and improved their strength? Why are they summoning monsters blindly? When I'm free, I'm going to clean up all the shifter players and destroy all the summoning altars I can find. The summoning altars were special tools that could summon existences from the untainted land to Earth. Of course, this wasn't the key. The key was that as time passed, the quality of the offerings that the Eldritch World players could provide would increase. The higher the quality of the offerings, the stronger the existences that the summoning altars could summon. Yi Chen wasn't afraid of this situation, but he definitely wasn't happy about it. After all, Yi Chen had no way of determining when the Eldritch World players would summon, what kind of existences they would summon, and whether or not they were strong. If the Eldritch World players summoned an extremely powerful being and this being attacked Samsara City, and Flaming Tiger Yi Lin couldn't even notify Yi Chen to go offline at that time, then Yi Chen would definitely be attacked. This wasn't a joke, it was a fact. After all, Yenhu Yelin's current cultivation was only at the perfection stage of the Purple Mansion realm. If she were to encounter an extremely powerful existence, it was very possible that Yenhu Yelin wouldn't even be able to react in time and would be directly killed on the spot. In that case, it would be strange if Yi Chen wasn't attacked. Of course, even if such a situation really happened, Yi Chen wouldn't be in any danger. If Yi Chen was attacked, he would definitely go offline immediately. No matter what Yi Chen was doing in the game world, he would go offline directly because he was attacked. If that was all, it wouldn't be a big deal. It would just be a little troublesome. But if there was another Chaos Barbarian like the Lunar Rabbit who recognized Yi Chen's connate cardinal treasure, then Yi Chen would be in a lot of trouble after he ascended. It was also because of this reason that Yi Chen didn't like to see the shifter players obtain the summoning altar and use it to summon the Chaos Barbarians to the lower realm. Thinking of this, Yi Chen's eyes narrowed, and a cold light flashed in them. At this moment, the Lunar Rabbit who called himself Uncle Rabbit looked at Yi Chen seriously and asked, "Why do you have the demonic slayer's godhead? Why do you have the demonic ancestor's god-killing spear? Are you the demonic ancestor's successor? The demonic slayer's successor?" When Yi Chen heard this, he curled his lips in disdain. Then, he looked at the Lunar Rabbit who called himself Uncle Rabbit and asked, "Why didn't you stay obediently on the lunar star? Why did you come to this world? You! How did you know I came from the lunar star?" When the white-furred, red-eyed Lunar Rabbit heard this, its two scarlet rabbit eyes suddenly shrank, and then it asked in shock. At this moment, the white-furred, red-eyed Lunar Rabbit's voice turned back into a female voice. When Yi Chen heard this, he looked at the white-furred, red-eyed Lunar Rabbit and said, "What you know is not important. What's important is why you came to this world, and why are you pestering the Black Emperor? Don't tell me you've taken a fancy to the Black Emperor. The Black Emperor is also a female." Yi Chen couldn't see the Lunar Rabbit's cultivation, but this wasn't important. What was important was that the Lunar Rabbit's realm was definitely at the Heaven Immortal realm. And at such a realm, it would be easy for it to torture the Black Emperor, kill the Black Emperor, or kill Yi Chen's spiritual pets. However, the Lunar Rabbit didn't do so, and this was also what Yi Chen was puzzled about. To be more precise, Yi Chen really couldn't see what the Lunar Rabbit's goal was. After hearing Yi Chen's words, the originally shocked Lunar Rabbit's rabbit face suddenly froze, and then it rolled its eyes at Yi Chen. "Who's pestering it? I just want to tease it. As for why I came to this world, it's because the lunar star is too deserted, so I wanted to come out and play." When Yi Chen heard the Lunar Rabbit's words, he immediately frowned and shouted in a deep voice, "Tell me the truth! How boring!" The Lunar Rabbit rolled its eyes at Yi Chen again and continued, "I came to the lower realm to descend. I came to the lower realm to retrieve the lunar primordial flame that the lunar star had dropped in the lower realm." Who would have thought that those bastards of the demon race not only used the summoning altar in that world, but also in this world, and then I came to the world you are in. Chapter 1030. When Yi Chen heard the Lunar Rabbit's words, he frowned again. The lunar star didn't lack lunar primordial fire. How could this damned rabbit descend to the lower realm alone for the lunar primordial fire? Just as Yi Chen thought of this, the lunar rabbit saw Yi Chen's expression and instantly transformed into a beautiful 16-year-old girl with 2 rabbit ears on her head. When Yi Chen saw this, he was first stunned, then his eyes narrowed. At the same time, Yi Chen's right hand tightened around the Godslayer. The lunar rabbit's appearance after transformation wasn't that beautiful, but it wasn't far off. It wasn't an exaggeration to describe the lunar rabbit's appearance after transformation as superb. Most importantly, the pair of rabbit ears on the lunar rabbit's head added a different beauty to the lunar rabbit. Of course, if that was all, Yi Chen wouldn't be stunned, and he wouldn't be on guard all of a sudden. But the problem was that the lunar rabbit, who had transformed into a beautiful girl, had a strong sense of seduction in her different beauty. Of course, the most important thing was that the lunar rabbit, who had transformed into a beautiful girl, didn't have any F*king clothes. Yi Chen couldn't help but be on guard against such an existence. After all, the lunar rabbit's behavior was no different from the foxes of the fox race, who specialized in seducing males. Of course, the lunar rabbit's method was inferior to those foxes, because it didn't grasp the essence, which was the most important hazy beauty. Just as Yi Chen was on guard against the lunar rabbit using some kind of seduction technique, the lunar rabbit, who had transformed into a beautiful girl, looked down at her body and nodded in satisfaction. Then, she looked at Yi Chen and asked, "Hey, do you like this body of mine? If you don't, I can change it again, although this is my true appearance after transformation." When Yi Chen heard this, he glanced at the lunar rabbit expressionlessly. Then, with a wave of his left hand, he instantly put Yi Xiaoyu, the golden-haired monkey, the turtle with the bloodline of the black tortoise, and the Black Emperor into his small world. This lunar rabbit did not show any hostility, but Yi Chen had no choice but to treat it with caution. This was because it was at least a celestial immortal. Once a battle broke out, Yi Chen could withstand the lunar rabbit's attack. However, Yi Chen's 3 spiritual pets and mount would not be able to withstand it. Otherwise, Yi Chen would not have kept them in his pocket dimension. Wow, so you have a small world formed from the seed of the world tree. When the lunar rabbit saw Yi Chen's actions, its scarlet eyes lit up as it cried out in astonishment. Yi Chen frowned when he heard this. Is this damned rabbit a dog? How did the small world detect it? When Yi Chen subdued the golden-haired monkey, he obtained the seed of the world tree from the golden-haired monkey. It was a special space that automatically grew into a special space that could grow into a world of its own. This kind of existence belonged to the top ranks of rare treasures in the Eldritch world. There were pitifully few of them, and once they appeared, they would be snatched by the Eldritch world's mighty figures. If Yi Chen had not known that he had the elusive one, Yi Chen would have thought that when he used the small world to collect items or take out items, he would be detected by celestial immortals and above. But now Yi Chen did not think so. This was because Yi Chen already knew that he had the elusive one. With this, it was impossible for others to see that Yi Chen had a small world in his body. Of course, if Yi Chen used the small world in front of others, that would be a different story. But the problem was that even if Yi Chen used the small world in front of others, one would need to be at least a Daluo Jinshen's cultivation level to be able to detect the small world in Yi Chen's body. As for the lunar rabbit, who had transformed into a beautiful girl, it was impossible for her to have the cultivation level of a Daluo Jinxian. At most, she would be a golden immortal. But in the end, this damned rabbit had sensed the fact that there was a small world in Yi Chen's body that had evolved from the seed of the world tree. How could Yi Chen, who had sensed this fact, remain calm? Damn it, a primeval exotic beast was indeed a primeval exotic beast. This lunar rabbit's perception was really abnormal, no matter what. He could not let this damned rabbit return to the Eldritch world unscathed. Even if she did not attack his subordinates, It would still be the same if she attacked him. At this thought, Yi Chen looked directly at the lunar rabbit, who had transformed into a beautiful girl but had no clothes, and said, "Submit or die. Choose one." "Can't I choose neither?" The lunar rabbit, who had transformed into a beautiful girl, could not help but be stunned when she heard Yi Chen's words. "Then," she asked. When Yi Chen heard this, he took a deep breath and exhaled deeply. In the next second, Yi Chen moved his mind and prepared to summon Mengpe to the real world. However, at this moment, the lunar rabbit suddenly said, "I submit." Yi Chen, who was about to summon Mengpe, was stunned when he heard this. "You won't consider it? Are you stupid?" When the lunar rabbit heard this, she rolled her eyes at Yi Chen without hesitation. Yi Chen's face darkened when he heard this. Seeing Yi Chen's expression, the lunar rabbit hurriedly spread her hands and said, "I'm just joking. Seriously, I've already chosen to submit. You won't be angry because of this, right?" When Yi Chen heard this, his eyes instantly turned cold. "Get to the point. You only have one chance. Otherwise, die." The lunar rabbit, who had transformed into a beautiful girl, froze when she heard Yi Chen's words. Then, she hurriedly said, "I came to the lower world to find the Black Lotus of Destruction. When I was in the Eldritch world, I found a clue related to the Black Lotus of Destruction. Then, I followed this clue to the lower world. Therefore, when I sensed the summoning power, I chose to respond to the summoning and prepared to come to the lower world personally to find the Grade 12 Black Lotus of Destruction." The lunar rabbit sighed, then looked at Yi Chen and said, "That's right. Unexpectedly, I chose the wrong summoning channel. As a result, I did not go to the world of the Grade 12 Black Lotus of Destruction and came to this world instead." After hearing the lunar rabbit's explanation, Yi Chen glanced at the lunar rabbit and said, "Continue." The lunar rabbit came to the lower world for the Grade 12 Black Lotus of Destruction. This reason seemed reasonable. As for whether it was true or not, Yi Chen did not care. Because the lunar rabbit chose to submit, Yi Chen would definitely not let the lunar rabbit go just by listening. The lunar rabbit was slightly stunned when she heard Yi Chen's words. Then, she said, "You're asking why I submitted to you, right?" When Yi Chen heard this, he glanced at the lunar rabbit expressionlessly. The God-Slayer in his right hand shook. Buzz, buzz, buzz. After the earth-shaking buzzing sound, an extremely strong aura of destruction erupted. The lunar rabbit, who had just asked Yi Chen, saw this and her body suddenly stiffened. Then, she hurriedly shouted, "Don't mess around. If I get poked by this damn God-Slayer, I'll lose at least 10,000 years of cultivation." At this point, the lunar rabbit hurriedly continued, "I'm willing to submit because I noticed something unusual about you." When Yi Chen heard this, he glanced at the lunar rabbit and retracted the aura of destruction that the God-Slayer had released. Noticing this, the lunar rabbit immediately heaved a sigh of relief and continued, "Only Demon Emperor Jun and Dong Wangtai can control the Grand Sun Truefire. Other than them, no one in the Eldritch world can control it. As for the Grand Moon Truefire, only Shiha and Changshi, my two sisters, and me can control it. Other than us, no one can control it. But this situation seems to have changed when it comes to you. Whether it's the Grand Moon Truefire or the Grand Sun Truefire, they're all controlled and refined by you. Just based on this, I can conclude that your luck is extremely good. However, just based on the providence of heaven and earth that you have now, it's impossible for you to refine the Grand Moon Truefire and the Grand Sun Truefire so smoothly. Therefore, I conclude that you have something else on you that increased your fortune and luck by millions or even tens of millions of times." When the lunar rabbit said this, she glanced at Yi Chen again and continued, "In the beginning, I couldn't tell what it is that can give people such a boost. However, when you used the small world to collect your spiritual pet and that giant starry sky beast, I knew the answer. You have the escaped one on you, and only with the escaped one can you do things that others can't do, obtain things that others can't obtain, and have abilities, including the Godslayer. When Yi Chen heard this, his eyes suddenly widened. Seeing Yi Chen's actions, the lunar rabbit stroked her silver-white hair and continued, I don't know what level you'll reach in the future with the escaped one, but I can confirm one thing. As long as I follow you, my future will definitely not be just a rabbit. Moreover, I don't dare to be enemies with you with the escaped one. Although I don't know why, my innate ability tells me that if I were to be enemies with you, my outcome would be very miserable. Therefore, do you understand why I'm so obedient and submit to you without hesitation? When Yi Chen heard this, he glanced at the lunar rabbit, then nodded and said, Put on your clothes. Put on my clothes? It's very uncomfortable. Me, Big Sister Changxi, and Big Sister Shiha don't wear clothes on the lunar star. Also, wearing clothes prevents us from absorbing the lunar primordial fire. The lunar rabbit was slightly taken aback when she heard this. When Yi Chen heard the lunar rabbit's words, he couldn't help but be stunned. F***ck. Was there a mistake? Changxi and Shiha, who were born on the lunar star, didn't wear clothes normally. While Yi Chen was dumbfounded, the lunar rabbit asked in confusion, What's the matter? Is this very strange? It's not strange. However, put on your clothes and don't resist. Yi Chen shook his head and said after hearing the lunar rabbit's question. When the lunar rabbit heard this, she moved unhappily. Then, a pure white dress appeared on the body of the lunar rabbit, who had transformed into a beautiful girl. When Yi Chen saw this, he immediately heaved a sigh of relief. F***ck, this damned rabbit. Should he say that she was simple or stupid? It was no wonder that no one went to the lunar star all year round. In the entire lunar star, only Shiha, Changxi, and the lunar rabbit were there. They were all females, so it wasn't a big deal to not wear clothes, but then again, she had just transformed into a human without wearing clothes. Moreover, she had released a seductive aura. It should have been unintentional. Let's not think about this anymore. Subdue this stupid rabbit first. That was the main thing. With that thought, Yi Chen moved his mind. A drop of bright red essence blood instantly flew out from Yi Chen's finger and landed on the lunar rabbit's forehead. The moment Yi Chen's essence blood touched the lunar rabbit's forehead, a thick bloody light exploded. Then, the lunar rabbit absorbed all of Yi Chen's essence blood in the blink of an eye. At the same time, a mysterious connection appeared between Yi Chen and the lunar rabbit. When Yi Chen sensed this, the corners of his mouth curled up involuntarily. King Hell, I succeeded. Just as Yi Chen thought this, the system's notification rang out. Ding! Congratulations to player Yi Chen for successfully subduing the ancient beast, Lunar Rabbit. Chapter 1031. As soon as the system's notification ended, Yi Chen looked at the lunar rabbit, who had successfully recognized him as her master, and said, Now, swear to the great Tao that you will be loyal to me forever. The lunar rabbit was a primitive beast and a sky immortal. If Yi Chen had simply made the lunar rabbit recognize him as her master and not made her swear in the name of the great Tao, then it would be very easy for the lunar rabbit to break away from Yi Chen and no longer treat Yi Chen as her master. It was impossible for Yi Chen, who had been reborn, to not know this. And Yi Chen had made the lunar rabbit swear to the great Tao in order to restrict the lunar rabbit from escaping his control. To be more precise, no matter how good the lunar rabbit's words were and how harmless she appeared to be to Yi Chen would not completely trust her. This was because the lunar rabbit had just recognized him as her master, and because she was the rabbit of the lunar star. Her identity meant that she was destined to have an unbreakable connection with He and Changxi. Of course, the most important thing was that Demon Emperor Jun of the primitive world would marry Changxi 6,000 years later. Once Demon Emperor Jun really married Changxi, then would the lunar rabbit betray Yi Chen because of Changxi and then tell Changxi all the information about Yi Chen, and then through Changxi's mouth to Emperor Jun? No one could be sure. Yi Chen did not want to leave such a disaster behind because of a moment of carelessness. It was no wonder that Yi Chen was so cautious. After all, there were experts everywhere in the primitive world. Yi Chen was awesome now, but after he ascended to the primitive world, he would not be so awesome anymore. There were many times when he could abuse Yi Chen. Therefore, before Yi Chen completely rose, he had to do his best to ensure that there would be no future trouble in whatever he did. Of course, Yi Chen's approach was also related to the fact that Yi Chen had too many good things on him now. There was a pile of connate spiritual treasures, connate cardinal treasures, a small world formed by the seed of the world tree, the most awesome imperial jade seal, the most awesome imperial edict, and so on. Could be said that Yi Chen was a moving treasure trove. Even Hong Jun, the three pure ones, the two sages of the West, the Fey Emperor Jun, and the Eastern Emperor Tai would be jealous of him. Yi Chen did not wish to be remembered by this group of people after ascending. Of course, this was not to say that Yi Chen was a coward. If Yi Chen was a coward, he would not have accepted it without any hesitation after hearing that he would have to fight against Hong Jun, Yang Mei Immortal, Yuan Shi, demon ancestor Luo Ho, and other mythical historical plots. Therefore, Yi Chen wasn't afraid of anything, and his courage was through the roof. The reason Yi Chen was so cautious was because Yi Chen was bold but not arrogant. He knew how to judge the situation. The moment Yi Chen said that, the lunar rabbit, which just acknowledged him as its master, could not help being stunned. She did not expect that after acknowledging Yi Chen as her master, she would have to swear an oath to the great Tao to be loyal to Yi Chen forever. After regaining her composure, the lunar rabbit smiled bitterly. Then, she looked up at the sky, raised 3 fingers, and shouted loudly, "I, the lunar rabbit, swear to the great Tao to be loyal to my master, Yi Chen, forever. I will follow him and never betray him. If I violate this oath, my soul will perish." As soon as the lunar rabbit finished speaking, violent thunder that shook heaven and earth sounded instantly. Boom, boom, boom. After dozens of thunders sounded in succession, Yi Chen smiled embarrassedly, then looked at the lunar rabbit and said, "Don't blame me. I'm just being on the safe side. After all, you are the lunar rabbit. If Changxi marries Dijun, I can't judge what you will choose at that time." Although the lunar rabbit's cultivation was not as high as the howling celestial dog's, she was still a true sky immortal and a true primordial beast. To Yi Chen, who was about to ascend to the primordial world, she was considered a powerful subordinate. Yi Chen did not want the lunar rabbit to feel uncomfortable in its heart. Even though the lunar rabbit had already sworn an oath to the great Tao that it would not betray Yi Chen or disobey him on the surface, Yi Chen did not want to see such a situation. It was also because of this reason that Yi Chen directly explained the reason to the lunar rabbit after making the oath. The lunar rabbit was stunned when she heard Yi Chen's words. Then, she looked at Yi Chen and asked in surprise, "Master, you haven't entered the primordial world. Master, you haven't been to the chaos world, right? How do you know that Dijun is going to marry Sister Changxi? Dijun was born on the solar star, and Changxi was born on the lunar star. One yin and one yang, coinciding with the great Tao. Therefore, Dijun will definitely marry Changxi. This will be beneficial to his status and future." Yi Chen smiled and said after hearing the lunar rabbit's question. Yi Chen knew that Dijun would marry Changxi not because of the reason Yi Chen told the lunar rabbit, but because this was the truth. In other words, this was the fate of Demon Emperor Dijun in Yi Chen's previous life. However, Yi Chen could not tell the lunar rabbit this truth. Even though the lunar rabbit had already recognized Yi Chen as her master and swore to the great Tao to be loyal to Yi Chen forever, it was still the same. After all, Yi Chen's rebirth was Yi Chen's biggest secret. He couldn't tell anyone about it. Otherwise, once Yi Chen ascended to the untainted land, he would go against the way of heaven of the untainted land. Yi Chen did not want to see such a situation happen. After hearing Yi Chen's explanation, The lunar rabbit was stunned again. Then, she laughed and said, "Master, Dijun doesn't like Changshi. Master, Sister Changshi doesn't like Dijuan. Sister Shiha is the same. Why do you say that?" Yi Chen was stunned when he heard this. Then, he looked at the lunar rabbit in surprise and asked. In Yi Chen's previous life, Changshi had indeed married Dijun. Yi Chen knew this very well. Most importantly, Yi Chen had seen the entire process with his own eyes. At that time, no matter how he looked at it, Changshi looked very happy. Now, the lunar rabbit said that Changshi did not like Dijun. How could Yi Chen not be surprised? After hearing Yi Chen's question, the lunar rabbit looked up at the sky and said, "Yin and Yang are the same. The combination of Yin and Yang and the creation of all things is indeed in accordance with the great Tao. However, Dijun is not the real Yang." The lunar rabbit paused for a moment, then looked straight at Yi Chen and said, "You're the one who made the decision. Although Dijun was born in the sun star, he did not refine the sun's primordial fire. The sun's primordial fire he can use is just the power of the sun star. Moreover, Dijun's original form is a three-legged golden crow, while Sister Changshi was born in a human form. Therefore, no matter how you think about it, Sister Changshi will never like Dijun. Moreover, Sister Changshi often tells me and Sister Shiha to cultivate quickly. Otherwise, we will never be able to break free from the shackles of fate." Yi Chen was stunned when he heard this. *CK. Dijun could use the sun's primordial fire to perfection. He could control it and not refine it? The lunar rabbit had already sworn to the great Tao. What she said could not be false. In other words, Dijun had deceived many people, including Yi Chen, but then again, Dijun could control the sun's primordial fire, and was not afraid of it. It was not much different from refining the sun's primordial fire. Wait, no, there was still a big difference. Dijun could use the sun's primordial fire by borrowing the power of the sun star. In other words, if this bastard stayed away from the sun star or cut off his connection with the sun star, his ability to control the sun's primordial fire would be useless. At this thought, Yi Chen's eyes lit up. Damn it, when he faced Demon Emperor Jun in the future, he could use this to destroy his ability to control the sun's primordial fire. Damn it, luckily I tamed the lunar rabbit. Otherwise, Yi Chen would not have known that Demon Emperor Jun had such a big weakness. Right, this was also Dong Huang Tai's weakness. At this thought, Yi Chen's eyes lit up. At this moment, the lunar rabbit's red eyes were suddenly filled with anger. Yi Chen, who noticed this, could not help but be stunned. Just as Yi Chen was puzzled and wanted to ask the reason, the lunar rabbit continued. "At that time I was still ignorant. I only knew how to play every day and did not think about cultivation. Not long after, Dong Huang Tai brought the Bell of Chaos to the lunar star. In just 3 rounds, he defeated Sister Chang Shi and Sister Shiha. Later, Dong Huang Tai told Sister Chang Shi that Dijun would officially marry Sister Chang Shi 6,000 years later. If Sister Chang Shi did not agree, he would destroy the lunar star and kill Sister Shiha and me. It was also because of this that I secretly left the lunar star and searched for the treasures left behind by the demon ancestor Luoho. I wanted to find the God Slayer and the 12th grade Black Lotus of Destruction. Only by finding the God Slayer and the 12th grade Black Lotus of Destruction could we resist Dong Huang Tai's Bell of Chaos. Only by finding the God Slayer and the 12th grade Black Lotus of Destruction, Sister Chang Shi and Sister Shiha, and me and the lunar star could we obtain freedom." As soon as the lunar rabbit finished speaking, Yi Chen was stunned. *CK. Was there a mistake? Chang Shi married Dijun because Dong Huang Tai forced her to. This was a King's secret. If the lunar rabbit had not said it, he would have thought that Chang Shi and Dijun were a very loving couple. It was no wonder that Yi Chen thought so. One had to know that in Yi Chen's previous life, Chang Shi and Dijun had been very loving to the outside world. Just as Yi Chen thought of this, the lunar rabbit, who had just finished explaining to Yi Chen, looked directly at Yi Chen and said, Sister Chang Shi and Sister Chang Shi, Sister Chang Shi and Sister Chang Shi have both the fire essence and the fire essence. Master, Sister Chang Shi and Sister Shiha have both refined the lunar primordial fire, and you are the only one who has refined the solar primordial fire. Therefore, you are destined to be a true partner with Sister Chang Shi and Sister Shiha. I implore you to marry Sister Chang Shi and Sister Shiha. At this point, the lunar rabbit directly bowed to Yi Chen solemnly. Yi Chen was stunned when he heard this. F***ck, I want to marry them, but what if Chang Shi and Shiha are not willing? Although Chang Shi and Shiha's cultivation was not strong, they were the super goddesses of the eldritch world. They were at least in the celestial immortal realm. Yi Chen naturally did not want to let go of such existences. This was because the Copper Sparrow Pavilion in the Reincarnation Immortal City required a large number of system-recognized beauties to display all its characteristics. However, the problem was that Chang Shi and Shiha were different from the historical beauties of the Three Kingdoms. They were the natives of the eldritch world. If Yi Chen could not win their hearts and forcibly made a move, it was very likely that a battle would break out. If Yi Chen was strong enough, he could directly seal these two women, or goddesses, it would be fine. If Yi Chen was not that strong, he would not be able to seal Chang Shi and Shiha. If he forcibly controlled them, Chang Shi and Shiha might directly self-destruct. This was not the result that Yi Chen wanted to see. It could be said that the super beauties of the eldritch world were much more difficult to collect than the historical beauties of the Three Kingdoms. Therefore, Yi Chen's original plan was to get a lot of beauties in the Three Kingdoms novice area. Then, after ascending to the eldritch world, he would first pursue the super beauties of the eldritch world. If he failed to pursue them, he would use the snatch method. Of course, the premise was that the women of the eldritch world had to be system-recognized beauties and pure. Otherwise, Yi Chen would not bother with them. In short, even if he reached the eldritch world, Yi Chen would not stop his plan to collect beauties. Thinking of this, Yi Chen glanced at the lunar rabbit who had bowed to him and then asked, Are you sure that Chang Shi and Shiha will like me? Chapter 1032. As soon as Yi Chen finished speaking, the lunar rabbit nodded without hesitation. Of course, Master. Extreme yin and extreme yang are naturally attracted to each other. Moreover, Master had also refined the lunar primordial fire, which naturally had a strong affinity with Sister Changshi and Sister Shiha. It's the same for me. Otherwise, I wouldn't have recognized you as my master so easily. After hearing the lunar rabbit's explanation, Yi Chen was slightly taken aback. Then, his eyes lit up. However, Yi Chen immediately frowned. The lunar rabbit, who had been expecting an affirmative answer from Yi Chen, saw Yi Chen's expression and hurriedly asked, Master, what's wrong? When Yi Chen heard this, he pondered for a moment. Then, he looked at the lunar rabbit and asked, You said that you, Changshi, and Shiha usually don't wear clothes on the lunar star. However, Emperor Jun and Dongwang seem to have been to the lunar star before. Before Yi Chen could finish speaking, the lunar rabbit's scarlet eyes were involuntarily stunned. Then, she interrupted Yi Chen, not knowing whether to laugh or cry. Master, if we don't wear clothes, we won't be seen by others. Moreover, the lunar star has the astral guardian array. Other people's divine senses can't even think about penetrating the astral guardian array. As for Emperor Jun and Dongwang Tai, they have been to the lunar star before. However, when they came, Sister Changshi, Sister Shiha, and I all wore several layers of clothes. When Yi Chen heard this, he immediately heaved a sigh of relief and laughed awkwardly. Well, Dongwang Tai can ignore the astral guardian array of the lunar star? The lunar rabbit had just said that Changshi and Shiha had been defeated by Dongwang Tai in 3 moves. This didn't make Yi Chen suspicious. After all, Changshi and Shiha weren't very strong. However, The problem was that the lunar rabbit had now said that the astral guardian array of the lunar star was present. It was impossible for Yi Chen not to be suspicious. After all, the astral guardian array was a connate array that contained the power of laws. It was not something that could be easily broken by the likes of golden immortal Daluo Jinxian. Even if Dong Wang Tai had the bell of primal chaos, he would have to put in a lot of effort to break the astral guardian array. Of course, this wasn't important. What was important was that even if Chang Shi and Shi He hadn't activated the great astral guardian formation and allowed Dong Wang Tai to enter the lunar star, Dong Wang Tai shouldn't have been able to defeat Chang Shi and Shi He within 3 moves. This was because as long as Dong Wang Tai attacked Chang Shi and Shiha, the lunar star's astral guardian array would instantly activate the killing array and attack Dong Wang Tai. Under such circumstances, Dong Wang Tai could only use the Bell of Chaos to defend himself instead of taking the initiative to attack. It was impossible for him to defeat Chang Shi and Shi He in 3 moves. As soon as Yi Chen finished speaking, the lunar rabbit clenched her fists angrily and said, if he hadn't taken advantage of the opportunity when Sister Chang Shi let him enter the lunar star to secretly place a primordial mutant devouring bone worm on the laurel tree, causing the lunar star's astral guardian array to lose 80% of its power, how could he have defeated Sister Chang Shi and Sister Shi He so easily? Yi Chen shook his head helplessly when he heard this. Women who had never experienced mutual deceit and deception had fallen into a trap just like that. How foolish, it wasn't their fault. It seemed that they hadn't traveled much in the primordial universe since they were born. Most of their time was spent on the lunar star, but then again, this Dong Wang Tai was really a cunning person. It wasn't Yi Chen's fault for thinking that way. After all, Dong Wang Tai's actions were enough to prove this point. As for the devouring bone worm, it wasn't hard to understand how a small worm like that could have schemed against Chang Shi and Shi He. The devouring bone worm was a primordial mutant. Although it didn't have much intelligence, its ability was extremely special, devouring the power of the lunar star. If that was all it had, the devouring bone worm wouldn't be so difficult to deal with. Chang Shi and Shi He would definitely be able to get rid of the devouring bone worm and resolve the crisis of the lunar star. But the problem was that the devouring bone worm didn't just devour the power of the lunar star. It also had an extremely special talent, parasitism. To be more precise, the devouring bone worm could parasitize any plant that contained the power of the lunar star or the power of Yin. Even natural spiritual roots couldn't escape the parasitism of the devouring bone worm. The laurel tree on the lunar star was one of the natural spiritual root. It was also the source of the lunar star's astral guardian array. Therefore, after it was parasitized by the devouring bone worm, it directly caused the astral guardian array to be unable to function normally. Of course, this wasn't the most important thing. The most important thing was that after parasitizing the devouring bone worm, it would completely merge with the plant it parasitized. No one would be able to use their divine consciousness to detect its exact location. In the case of the lunar star, the devouring bone worm that Dong Wang Tai had secretly used had completely merged with the laurel tree. Under such circumstances, neither Chang Shi nor Shi He would be able to capture the devouring bone worm from the laurel tree. The only thing they could do was watch helplessly as the devouring bone worm continued to devour the power of the lunar star and reproduce. In the end, more and more of the power of the lunar star would be lost because of the devouring bone worm. The lunar star would also be destroyed because of the loss of the power of the lunar star. This was not an exaggeration, nor was it a random deduction. It was the truth. This was because Chang Shi and Shi He wouldn't destroy the laurel tree just to destroy the devouring bone worm. The laurel tree was a connate spiritual root that had existed on the lunar star before Chang Shi and Shi He were born. Moreover, it was closely related to the lunar star. If the laurel tree was destroyed, although the lunar star wouldn't be destroyed directly because of this, it would still collapse and become a lunar star that didn't live up to its name. In fact, this was also the reason why the lunar rabbit, who had recognized Yi Chen as her master, was so anxious to find the Godslayer that had disappeared without a trace after the fall of the demon ancestor Rahu, as well as the grade 12 Black Lotus of Destruction. This was because both the Khanate spiritual treasure Godslayer and the grade 12 Black Lotus of Destruction could directly attack the soul. If the lunar rabbit found the Godslayer or the grade 12 Black Lotus of Destruction, she could use the power of the Godslayer or the grade 12 Black Lotus of Destruction to directly attack the Een-devouring bone worm's soul. This way, the Een-devouring bone worm parasitized on the laurel tree would be completely destroyed. After that, the crisis of the lunar star's destruction would be resolved. Of course, if the lunar rabbit really did find the Godslayer or the grade 12 Black Lotus of Destruction, both Chang Shi and he would have treasures to fight against the Dong Wang Tai chaos spell. In his previous life, Chang Shi and he, who were born on the lunar star, had never been able to become demi-saints. This probably had a lot to do with the Dong Wang Tai's plot. Chang Shi, he Di Jun, and Dong Wang Tai were born in the lunar star and Dong Wang Tai were born in the solar star. They belonged to the same period. Although Di Jun and Dong Wang Tai were born first, Chang Shi and he were born not much later. Of course, this wasn't important. What was important was that Chang Shi and he's roots couldn't be lower than Di Jun and Dong Wang Tai's. Logically speaking, even if Chang Shi and he couldn't become saints, they should have no problem becoming demi-saints. But in reality, whether it was Chang Shi or he, they were at most golden immortals. This situation was really too abnormal. Of course, this was also something that Yi Chen had always been puzzled about. But now Yi Chen could see the reason behind this. To be more precise, the lunar star was damaged beyond repair because of the Dong Wang Tai. This directly affected the future of Chang Shi and he, who were born on the lunar star. After that, Chang Shi and he only appeared a few times in the myths and legends before disappearing without a trace. Although the Dong Wang Tai was despicable and ruthless, if it weren't for him, I wouldn't have been able to meet Chang Shi and he so quickly. At this thought, Yi Chen looked directly at the lunar rabbit and asked, "Can you still return to the Eldritch world?" People from the Eldritch world, who were summoned to the lower realm, and could return to the Eldritch world, had to be at least in the celestial immortal realm. For example, the celestial howling dog was one of them. However, it wasn't easy to return to the Eldritch world after reaching the celestial immortal realm. To be more precise, if the natives of the Eldritch world who were summoned to the real world wanted to return to the Eldritch world, they had to have at least the celestial immortal realm cultivation and a certain amount of spatial ability. Otherwise, they could only stay on Earth and wait until they reached the golden immortal realm or mastered spatial ability before they could return to the Eldritch world. This was basically the same as being sentenced to death. This was because it was extremely difficult for the celestial immortals on Earth to break through to the golden immortal realm from the celestial immortal realm as long as they were not players. Although the concentration of heaven and earth spirit chi on Earth was increasing every day, it couldn't reach the level of the Eldritch world no matter how much it increased. In such an environment, the celestial immortals had to wait for their turn to advance to the golden immortal realm. By the time the players became demi-saints, the natives of the Eldritch world who were summoned to the real world wouldn't be able to advance to the golden immortal realm. It was even more impossible for them to comprehend spatial power on Earth, learn spatial ability, and return to the Eldritch world. The laws of heaven and earth on Earth were naturally incomplete and couldn't be compared to the Eldritch world at all. If one wanted to comprehend spatial ability on Earth without the support of treasures, it was no different from a dream. It was also because of this reason that if the natives of the Eldritch world were summoned to the real world but didn't have the ability to return to the Eldritch world, they were basically crippled. To avoid such a situation, one had to either have the ability to return to the Eldritch world or rely on the players. To be precise, they had to rely on the players to obtain spatial ability or advance to the golden immortal realm. Yi Chen asked the Lunar Rabbit because he wanted to know if the Lunar Rabbit could return to the Eldritch world now. It would be best if she could. If not, Yi Chen would give the Lunar Rabbit a batch of enlightenment stones to help her comprehend spatial power and obtain spatial ability. As for Yi Chen's purpose of letting the Lunar Rabbit return to the Eldritch world, it was very simple. He wanted to resolve the crisis of the lunar star so that the two silly women on the lunar star wouldn't be threatened by that B***tch Dong Huang Tai. The moment Yi Chen said that, the Lunar Rabbit's eyes lit up and she said, "Master, I can return to the Eldritch world." Chapter 1033. The Lunar Rabbit's words were full of excitement because she had sensed Yi Chen's intention. To be precise, the Lunar Rabbit had sensed Yi Chen's presence and was preparing to give her the god-slaying spear. Then, she would bring the god-slaying spear back to the lunar star of the great desolate world. She would then destroy the source of the lunar star's danger, the een-devouring bone worm, and resolve the lunar star's crisis. It was because the Lunar Rabbit had sensed this that she was so excited after hearing Yi Chen's words. After all, the lunar star was her home, the place where she was born. Moreover, Chang Shi and Shi He, her two good sisters, were there. She did not want the lunar star to be destroyed, nor did she want Chang Shi and Shi He to be persecuted. Yi Chen couldn't help but smile when he heard the Lunar Rabbit's words, which were filled with excitement. In that case, go back to Samsara City with Xiaoyu and the others. Wait there for a while. Later, I'll give you a set of treasures that can disrupt the heavenly secrets and prevent others from deducing. Then, take the treasures and the God-Slayer back to the Eldritch world's lunar star. After the lunar star's crisis is resolved, you can come back and bring the God-Slayer and the treasures back. The treasures Yi Chen was referring to were naturally the 12 connate copper men of fortune. Yi Chen's motive for asking the Lunar Rabbit to take them to the Eldritch world was actually very simple. He wanted to conceal the God-Slayer's aura to prevent it from being detected by Hongjun, the 3 Pure Ones, the 2 Western Sages, the Monster Emperor Jun, and the Eastern Emperor Tai. This could not be helped. After all, the God-Slayer was a connate cardinal treasure and was originally the weapon of the demon ancestor Ra. As long as the God-Slayer appeared in the Eldritch world, it would definitely be detected, even if it was not used. Of course, the premise was that the person carrying the God-Slayer or using the God-Slayer was not Yi Chen, or did not have any treasures that could disrupt the heavenly secret. Only then would such a situation occur. It couldn't be helped. Others weren't as lucky as Yi Chen to possess the elusive one that could conceal and disrupt the heavenly secret. Of course, this was not important. What was important was that the Lunar Rabbit had brought the God-Slayer back to the Primordial world. If he could not disrupt the heavenly secrets, then the God-Slayer's aura would definitely be sensed by the mighty figures of the Primordial world. Then, they would track him down. At that time, not to mention Yi Chen's God-Slayer, even the Lunar Rabbit might die because of this. This was not a joke, but a fact. In the great, desolate world, no one would reason with you. Even if they did, they would use their fists to do so. This was the essence of the great, desolate world. It was very simple and very violent. It was also because of this reason that Yi Chen had told the Lunar Rabbit to bring her a set of treasures that could disrupt the heavenly secrets and prevent others from deducing. They were the 12 connate copper men of destiny that Yi Chen had already used in the reincarnation Immortal City. With them around, even if the Lunar Rabbit brought the god-killing spear back to the untainted land, no one would be able to detect the god-killing spear's aura. Even more so, no one would be able to detect the god-killing spear using it on the lunar star. This way, Yi Chen's God-Slayer would not be snatched away and the Lunar Rabbit would not be killed because of the God-Slayer. As for the fact that Yi Chen's actions might cause the Godslayer to be stolen by the lunar rabbit, it was impossible. This was because not only did the lunar rabbit recognize Yi Chen as its master, but it also swore to the great Tao that it would be loyal to Yi Chen forever. Not many people were willing to swear to the great Tao. However, once one swore to the great Tao, the opposite situation would not happen. This was because no one dared to violate a great Tao oath, not even a saint. Therefore, the lunar rabbit would never betray Yi Chen. No matter how great the danger, she would never betray Yi Chen or betray Yi Chen. It was also because of this reason that Yi Chen had made the decision to hand the Godslayer to the lunar rabbit and let her bring it back to the primordial world. Of course, the grade 12 Black Lotus of Annihilation could also kill the dark devouring bone worm. However, the problem was that the grade 12 Black Lotus of Annihilation was different from the Godslayer. It was both offensive and defensive, unlike the Godslayer, which was only used for attacking. Therefore, its offensive power could not be compared to the Godslayer's. Since Yi Chen had already decided to resolve the crisis on the lunar star, he naturally wanted to resolve this matter as soon as possible. The Godslayer was definitely more suitable than the grade 12 Black Lotus of Annihilation. If he used the grade 12 Black Lotus of Annihilation, even Yi Chen would not be able to determine how long it would take. However, this was not important. The important thing was that using the grade 12 Black Lotus of Annihilation to deal with the devouring bone worm would definitely take much longer than the Godslayer. This was because the grade 12 Black Lotus of Annihilation had to absorb negative energy in order to unleash its offensive power. The grade 12 Black Lotus of Annihilation could do this on its own. However, in the primordial world, could the grade 12 Black Lotus of Annihilation do this? Definitely not. After all, in the primordial world, there were a bunch of powerful people who were coveting the grade 12 Black Lotus of Annihilation. As long as the grade 12 Black Lotus of Annihilation dared to actively absorb negative energy, it would be useless even if there were 12 connate copper men of Providence disrupting the heavenly secrets and preventing others from deducing. In the end, the grade 12 Black Lotus of Annihilation would definitely be discovered and tracked over. Yi Chen did not want to see such an outcome. As soon as Yi Chen finished speaking, the lunar rabbit nodded solemnly and said gratefully, "Thank you, Master." The lunar rabbit did not know what kind of treasure Yi Chen was going to give her to disrupt the heavenly secrets, but the lunar rabbit was not stupid. How could she not know that Yi Chen was doing this for her safety? Although this was only a part of Yi Chen's intentions, it was for her safety. There was no pretense at all. It was also for this reason that the lunar rabbit was so touched. "You're welcome. Just focus on working for me. You will benefit greatly in the future," Yi Chen said with a smile after hearing the lunar rabbit's grateful words. The lunar rabbit nodded solemnly and said, "Yes, Master. Yes, Master." Hearing this, Yi Chen nodded and waved his right hand. The treasure-hunting fish Yi Xiaoya, the golden-haired monkey that had transformed into a big and small loli, the tortoise with the bloodline of the divine beast Black Tortoise, and the Black Emperor of the Starry Sky Sword Dragon race appeared 3 meters in front of Yi Chen. As soon as the treasure-hunting fish Yi Xiaoyu and the other spiritual pets appeared, they hurriedly looked at Yi Chen and shouted, "Master, brother." After Yi Chen heard the cries of the spiritual pets, he nodded with a smile. Then, he looked straight at the Black Emperor, who had lowered his head and did not dare to speak after being released from the small world by Yi Chen. "Little Black, this is your first mistake and also your last. If there is a next time..." Yi Chen seemed calm, but his words were full of killing intent. As soon as he landed, the Black Emperor could not help but shiver. Then, he nodded and shouted. After hearing the Black Emperor's frightened and nervous cries, Yi Chen let out a long breath and said, "I will skin you with my own hands, then hang you up and expose you to the sun for 10,000 years. Remember what I said, don't think I'm joking." Hearing this, the Black Emperor's two beast eyes suddenly shrank. Then, he saw the Black Emperor's body trembling violently. In the next second, the Black Emperor let out an extremely aggrieved and frightened howl. Ow, ow, ow! After hearing the Black Emperor's howl, Yi Chen glared at him and then scolded, "Shut up! If you want to help me, you have to look at the actual situation. If you can't catch up with the lunar rabbit, you should know that your strength is not as good as her. Under such circumstances, you should stay in Samsara City, not run out and continue to chase after the lunar rabbit." After saying this, Yi Chen waved his hand and slapped the Black Emperor's spiky head. Then, he continued, "The worst thing you should do is not listen to Yi Lin's advice and be arrogant." As soon as Yi Chen finished speaking, the Black Emperor, who had been slapped by Yi Chen, was stunned. Then, he began to sob. "Master!" When the treasure-hunting fish Yi Xiaoyu saw this, she hurriedly looked at Yi Chen and called out. When Yi Chen heard this, he glared at the treasure-hunting fish Yi Xiaoyu. Then, he looked straight at the aggrieved Black Emperor and said, "Remember what I said, you can have arrogance, and you should have it, but you can't be blindly arrogant. It's a good thing to not be afraid of the enemy, and it should be like this, but you can't be arrogant. You can't see the situation clearly." The Black Emperor was the royal family of the Starry Sky Sword Dragon race. At the same time, he was also a Starry Sky beast. With such an identity, the Black Emperor was destined to be at least a quasi-sage in the future. This was also the reason why Yi Chen was willing to accept the Black Emperor. But the problem was that the Black Emperor's identity was destined to be the same as other Starry Sky beasts. He had a combative nature, and it was a combative nature that didn't need to think. Yi Chen wouldn't care if this happened to other people or other Starry Sky beasts. But when it happened to the Black Emperor, Yi Chen didn't like to see it, because this nature would cause the Black Emperor to suffer a great loss. If it was more serious, it would bring a lot of harm to Samsara City or Samsara Immortal City. This point could be easily seen from the lunar rabbit. Of course, this didn't mean that the lunar rabbit was an enemy. It meant that the lunar rabbit was an enemy. Under such a premise, the lunar rabbit's actions could be seen as luring the tiger away from the mountain. Didn't Yi Xiaoyu, who had reached the Purple Mansion realm, as well as the golden-haired monkey and the tortoise, chase out? If there were other enemies attacking Samsara City at this time, then no one could be sure if the flaming tiger Yi Lin, the only remaining high-end combat power in Samsara City, could withstand the enemy's attack or call Yi Chen offline in time. If it could, then it would be best. This way, Yi Chen wouldn't suffer a great loss. If it couldn't, then Yi Chen's Samsara City in the real world would be directly destroyed. And Yi Chen might also be severely injured because of this. It could be said that the Black Emperor's reckless actions could shake the defensive power that Yi Chen had set up in Samsara City. After that, Yi Chen's personal safety would be threatened. It was also because of this reason that Yi Chen scolded the Black Emperor so harshly. As for Yi Chen's goal, it was to let the Black Emperor remember this lesson so that he wouldn't do anything stupid in the future. As soon as Yi Chen finished speaking, the Black Emperor looked at the lunar rabbit with some dissatisfaction. No matter how you looked at it, it was telling Yi Chen that the lunar rabbit was very weak. It wasn't wrong. When the lunar rabbit beside Yi Chen saw this, it raised its right hand without hesitation and threw a punch over. Bang! After a loud sound, the Black Emperor was instantly knocked unconscious. When Yi Chen saw this, he nodded in satisfaction. That bastard, the Black Emperor. If he didn't suffer a little, he wouldn't learn his lesson. Just as Yi Chen thought of this, the Black Emperor, who had just fainted for a while, woke up again. However, before he could react, the lunar rabbit's small but incomparably violent fist landed on him again. Bang! The Black Emperor fainted again. Once, twice. After a total of over 100 times, the Black Emperor, who had awakened once again, began to cry out. He was filled with unwillingness and disbelief. When Yi Chen heard this, he glared at the Black Emperor and shouted, "Do you understand now?" Hearing Yi Chen's question, the Black Emperor looked unwillingly at the lunar rabbit, who had raised its fist again, and then nodded dejectedly. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.